Wow, okay. I deeply apologize for all that, everybody. I had just been talking to myself for quite a bit, starting to make some stuff, and I didn't even realize that it was not recording because I've never done this format before. So I'm really, really deeply sorry for that, making everybody wait. There we go. That's what we'd expect. Really quickly, I do.
Wow, okay.
Now I'm listening to myself. Let's pause that. Okay, so let's grab this. So I'm trying to solve questions. So let's start from the beginning. Welcome to the Godot Q&A session. We are going to be promoting the Godot Game Jam, which is an awesome game jam hosted by myself and a lot of other really cool Godot game developers who are also YouTubers. And so the itch, I'm going to go ahead and drop that. Let's drop the link to this down here so y'all can see that. And then I'm going to be solving your questions. You can ask me general questions about the engine, about my game dev journey, if you want. But mostly this is going to be to solve any kind of difficult issues or hopefully simple issues, because it's a little more fun to solve those. In Godot, stuff you want to do in order to make your own games. If you're a Unity developer, game maker developer, and you want to know how I would do something in Godot that you do in your engine, and I could take a crack at doing that, I'd be happy to do that. So until anybody pops their question down in the live chat, which you're free to do, or sends me a link to a GitHub and want to fix some bug or something like that, I'm going to go through the Godot Q&A. If you don't know about this, it's really, really handy, and a lot of these already have answers, which is great. And then we can also do the Reddit, and I'm filtering by help. And so the first thing I wanted to do was answer two questions with one swing, and that is that this guy is trying to make this tank game. I think this is actually a Kids Can Code tutorial, who's a really, really great YouTuber. Yo, what's up, kind Russian man? So we're gonna be making this. He's got an issue where the tank cannon, I guess, is not looking at the mouse, so we're gonna do that. I'm also gonna make the movement, and that answers this guy's question as well. So let me actually just go ahead and, well, I guess I'll answer it. So I'll say, answering your question live on YouTube. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and copy that, just like that. Okay, and then spell answering correctly, and we'll add that answer there. I'll go ahead and copy this and put this here like that. Okay, cool. So now this is what we're gonna do. That's gonna be the first thing we're gonna do. Oh, you did? What question? Let's check that out. Maybe it wasn't, hopefully it wasn't this. Use Godot without learning nothing. Technically that's true, because by learning nothing, you must be learning something. So you must use Godot while learning something. But not on that one, on the other one. I did not know there was another one. Shoot a link to your question, I'll check it out. That would be very cool. Also, or you could just post your question here, whatever you prefer. But now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to quickly do this. So we're going to make a tank that moves around and faces which direction that we are moving towards. So that's going to be the first thing I do. I'm also going to add a collision shape right here. Not do too much with that, because we're not going to deal with collisions quite yet. Let's see, there we go. Yeah, it's appearing. So this is something that happens a lot. Your collision shape will appear behind it. So I usually just take my collision shape and move it up like that. And then I'm going to go to the transform, set it back to 0 so it's nice and centered. Let's do this. Beautiful. Okay, there's our collision shape. Sprite 2, this is our gun. So, and I made this just using straight up the icon here, and then we could change using the visibility. So with the gun, I just scaled it and then changed all the visibility here in the modulate down to 0, so that way it appears black. And there you go, there's our gun. Okay, and then now I'm going to go ahead and hide this. And so we're going to save this as tank. Okay, and then again, I don't know if I've said this since I fixed the stream, but this is all going to be available on GitHub. So here's UNA session 2. We'll create a folder, say tank. Okay, and I'll save it right in there. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add a script here. And I'm going to go ahead and get the movement working. So this is a very common movement function. I'm going to say var input vector, input underscore vector equals vector2.0. Now, if this were my game, I would typically type hint this, but I don't like doing that because it confuses people. And But sometimes I think it might be helpful because I've seen a lot of people actually post that they're confused by why people actually do this. And if you've watched or begun to watch my intro to Godot for non-coders, or I'm sorry, the non-coders guide to GDScript series, you'll see that a lot of people say input vector equals vector 2.0. And this is because Godot then knows that we're going to be referring this as a vector, and it kind of also helps us know that we're going to be using this as a vector. And then we can make some more stuff here. So I'm going to say constant. We'll say max underscore speed, and I'll say equals, we'll try 1,000, okay? And then I'll say constant acceleration equals 100, just like that. That's cool. There we go. Okay, come right down here. Okay, and then we'll start our physics process. And this is how we're actually going to move our player. So the physics process, if you don't know, runs every physics frame. If your game is running at 60 frames per second, it runs 60 times per second. And that's great because we can change things over time, like our position, which is how we make movement. Now, because this is a kinematic body 2D, we've got a lot of handy stuff we can do. But really quickly, I'm going to show you how I take the input. And the input vector is basically going to be the direction. I should also quickly make the velocity variable here. Vector 2 dot. This will be 0 as well. Not 0, but 0. Hey, Redefine GameDev. Yeah, I typically do like to just do that as well, but I think that this is helpful for people who aren't super experienced, because it's easier to kind of see, at least. Because, for instance, like when I was starting out and I watched GD Quest tutorials, and he type hints everything and also puts like, this should technically be, void like that. And people were like, I was like, what the heck is that? Oh, sorry, I just nailed my mic. I was like, what the heck is that? And I got kind of scared and like went to other tutorials. So I'm just trying to keep it simple, do stuff like that. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and use our input vector. And we're going to say input vector dot x equals input dot get underscore action strength. And then I'll say UI should be UI underscore right minus, and then input dot get underscore action strength UI left, like that. Okay, and then we're basically going to copy that format for the Y position. I'll explain this quickly in a second. And again, this is stuff so this should be down. Yep, and then this one should be up. Okay, now I would like to just like quickly go over this because I used this code for so long without knowing what the heck was going on. And it's actually pretty simple, but it's a little meta almost, because what we're doing is we're assigning each variable of this based on these, right? So you have to know, for instance, like that if you go, or a vector2 dot right is the same thing as saying vector2 1 in the x and then 0 in the y, right? And so what we're doing in the x here is we're trying to say that we're getting the strength of this. So this will either be 0, 1, and even though left is technically a vector 2 with a negative x, right? This is also, because we're just getting the action strength, we're getting the magnitude of this input. This could also only be 0 or 1. So that's why we subtract right from left, because right is, if we want to go right, we want this final, the answer of subtraction of this to be positive, and if we want to go left, we want the answer of this subtraction to be negative. So that's why we go right minus left. And same thing for down minus up, because down, we want this to be positive if we want to go down, and negative if we want to go up. So that's that. What's going on, Bowden? Is it Bowden, Bodan? How do you pronounce that? I hate mispronouncing people's names, but I'm also illiterate, so there's that. So then what we'll say is input vector equals input vector dot normalized. And normalized is the function that just takes an input vector and makes it a normalized direction around a unit circle. So that way we don't go faster in any diagonal direction. And now that will give us that. Then we can say, we'll say velocity plus equals acceleration, not accept dialog. Well, now I'm typing that. It's Freudian slip during code. Plus equals acceleration. We actually want to do input vector. It doesn't matter, of course, to put it in front like this, but I like to do that. This should be plus, or times, times acceleration, and then times, well, I won't do times delta. We'll see if I want to. Okay, and so this is just the typical formula for movement, which is that we put an input vector, which is a normalized vector, basically the direction, and then times how much we want to go in that direction by magnitude. Then, so this is going to increase exponentially every single frame. So what we want to do is then clamp this velocity to our max speed. Basically, what I don't want it to go faster than our max speed. And if you do it like this, I mean, I actually, for demonstration purposes, I will just go ahead and do that. So we'll say a move and slide, which is my favorite function to use with the kinematic body for movement. And then we'll just put in the velocity function here. And it handles multiplying by delta for you. And now we actually should be able to move our tank a little bit. But you can see two things are wrong. One is that you can't stop. And two is that he just takes off, like he just starts zipping. And that's because we're never stopping our velocity here. We're never telling us to slow down to a stop, and we're also never telling our velocity to not go past our max speed, right? So it's going to keep increasing forever as long as we hold down that. So Godot has a really handy function called clamped that allows us to do that, clamped, and then we just put in our max speed here, and then it will no longer allow us to do that. Now, we also want to make sure that we slow down. So essentially, we want to say only do this if we're taking input. And then if we're not taking input, idle, right? Or slow down to a stop. So we'll say if input vector does not equal 0, okay, then we're going to go ahead and do this. Okay. Then we're going to say else. And then we're going to say velocity equals velocity dot move toward vector 2 dot 0, and then we'll put this by acceleration, just like that. Okay, and now we've got a, ooh, what's going on? What did it not like? Int, oh no, I'm sorry. This should be vector 2 dot 0, because we can't compare vectors and ints. Do this. There we go. So now we've got a nice movement, but of course he's not facing the direction we would want it to face. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, though, before I make the actual guy face that direction. Oh yeah, also, please, Kind Russian Man, please remind me of your actual name, because I feel really uncomfortable calling you Kind Russian Man. And then also post a link to your question, because I'd like to get to that after this one. So essentially we've got that. Now I want to do one thing that's really simple, is actually to make the gun look at our mouse, right? So first of all, I think I'm going to refactor this code real quick. So I'm going to make a function called movement, and this is how I typically do it. Okay, and I'm going to grab all of this, I'm going to exit out like that, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick that in here, and then we're going to call the movement function in our physics process. And the reason I want to do that is just to make it a little more readable, a little more clear. Okay, and I make another function called aim, or aiming, I guess. Okay, right now I'll put pass, and we'll put this in here as well, aiming. Okay, then what we want to do with aiming is, it's actually very, very simple. We're going to say, we're going to get our gun. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and grab, I'm going to say on ready var gun equals gun, just like that. And then we're going to say gun dot look at, and then we're going to say get underscore global mouse position, just like that. Okay. And that's as simple as that. That should actually be working already. Oh, geez. Okay, there we go. Yeah, and you can see now the gun looks at my cursor like this. And I haven't obviously made anything that can shoot it. Okay, perfect. The link is banned. Let's do it like that. I also quickly want to add WASD to my movement controls, because right now I don't have it and it's kind of annoying. So I'll show you how to do that if you don't already know. You go into project settings, input map, and then we can choose whichever we want. So I want to go UI left, key, this will be A, UI right, key D, UI up, key W, and UI down, key S. Okay, cool. And now should have WASD movement as well. We've got this going on. Now, I would like to go over quickly to this question where he is having issues with that, because I had this issue, a lot of people have this issue. Here, let me see if I can go down here. Oh, that's weird. It put the link in my stream, but it didn't put it. Is it going to let me do this? Okay. It didn't allow the link to become public, but allowed me to see it. But it didn't HF people? That's weird. Ah, yeah, it's not letting me get there. Interesting. Okay, well, yeah, if you can sort that out, go ahead and send it. You can just post regular URLs. Streamers should see them regardless. Yeah, so go ahead and just print a, or send me a Send me a regular one, and I'll see them in my feed here that is off camera for you guys. As, what is it, Smacks? I like that name. Smacks was saying. So this is a really common issue, and I think that it's probably to do with something like this. So if we do this to like 90 degrees, right, and then we go back in and look at our function, oh, it's working. Interesting. I'm trying to break it, which is funny. So this should actually be 0. Set this to 0. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. So I'm actually trying to break this right now. So do 2.5 by 0.5. It's good. And I can't break it, ironically, but I'd imagine it's like something to do with this. So if I take, here we go. So if I make this 0.5 by 2.5 like this, yeah, well that'll have its own issues, but we'll go ahead and just leave that as it is for right now. So I'll set this right here, and then I'll just reset this back to 0 like that. So now you'll see that it's not looking at the mouse. And the reason that is because Godot assumes that the basis is going to be a vector2.write in the way that it's looking. So if we undo this here, so if we set this to 2.5, 0.5, and then we set this back to like right about there, set this back there, okay? And by doing that, I'm holding V, and it sets wherever it needs to go. So yeah, so like essentially now, again, it's going to work perfectly. And the reason is because I'm assuming that this guy's sprite for the gun is by default not pointing to the right, which is the vector2.write. Because that's when you use the function look at, it assumes that you want to look that direction. I'm sorry, it assumes that your sprite is already looking that direction. Because when you do look at, it's basically moving at an angle starting as this is like the 0, and then this would be like 90 degrees, -90, stuff like that. So that's important to know, and that's literally all you have to do to fix that. But I don't think you can actually fix it by using the rotation degree here. You have to actually, it's weird because I swear that it has worked sometimes for me doing it that way, but typically what I have to do is actually go into my editor and rotate the sprite that way. Although you could of course do what I was just doing with the scaling if you're just doing a block like me, but from other people you'll probably have to do it in your actual editor. Okay, so that's how you do the gun. Now of course we want to make our guy, so this guy's all checked off here. Hopefully he was watching. And then, so now we're gonna go ahead and go to this, rotate character based on direction. How can you make the character rotate on the direction of movement? Okay, so we're gonna do this. Remember that our direction here is actually our input vector. We're taking the input and then we're moving in that direction. So now we just need to rotate towards that direction. And I think there's actually quite a few ways to do this, but I wanna say, I think you can do I wanna do sprite in particular. So we'll grab onReadyVar sprite equals, because if we rotate the entire sprite, here, let me put just body here. Now if we rotate, we could rotate ourselves, but the problem with that is then the gun is going to, I think the gun is basically going to try and, like it's going to have to counteract our rotation plus its own rotation. So yeah, so if you were also doing this, you might want to set the collision shape to also rotate with the sprite. You could potentially do this and then subtract the rotation of that. I mean, let's just try it. Let's just try that first actually and see what happens. So if I do rotate, right, was a function that rotates us by whatever rotation in radians we provide, and then we want to rotate towards our input vector, and I think we just do .angle, but I might have to, this might not work. And then I also want to go ahead and quickly print input vector dot angle like this. Okay, let's see what happens. Nope. Interesting. Yeah, so that's not going to be it. Which is, oh, you know why? It's because it's rotating by. Yeah, I'm sorry. We want to do rotation equals that. Okay. Now let's give that a shot. Rotation. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so you can see that now it's following our input vector, but it's not very smooth. But yeah, you can see that it is. If I go left, it goes left. If I go right, it goes right. If I go up there, you can see that it is going in those directions. And you might say that, oh, I don't want the Godot head to be facing that way. We can actually fix that pretty easily. But in reality, you probably would want your sprite to look that way. Yo, what's up, Mason? How's it going, guys? So yeah, you can see that we are now rotating to face that direction. So if you take, it's again rotating using the right as the direction. So if we go to the right, it's rotating to the right. If we go to the left, it's rotating us 180 degrees this way. It's actually kind of nice to use the gun. Literally going like this and pointing that direction like that when we do that. And that's why it becomes upside down. And so if you want to actually make it so that doesn't happen, although in most games it probably won't matter particularly much, you would simply go to the sprite here, and we would say animation. Is it animation? Where is it? Offset? Yeah, there we go. Offset. And we'd say flip vertical. And then you want to call this basically when your rotation is greater than 90 degrees or less than negative 90 degrees. Did I set it? So I want to flip vertical right now. Just so I'm not going to do it during code, but now you can see that if I go to the left, then I'm going to be facing the correct direction with the Godot sprite up like that. Okay, and so that I think answers both of these questions. For example, when the character is running forward and is now running back, the character, not the camera, will rotate facing the camera. Yeah, so that should work. This might be 3D that he's talking about, but that's how we would do it. So he actually did velocity equals velocity rotated rotation. Yeah, so that's fine. That works as well, of course. Yeah, and then we could, of course, get smoother movement here. We could say, rather than just saying the rotation equals that, we could say rotation equals lerp that. So I think we could do rotation dot lerp. Well, so rotation is, yeah, so let's do this. Let's look up the lerp function here. Lerp, linear interpolation, blah, blah, blah. Oh, so we just do lerp. Okay. So we'd come in here, and I would say, oopsies, what's going on? Okay. Lerp, and then we do this, and then we'd say from rotation to, so this we're going to alert from whatever our rotation is at this physics frame to our next rotation here. Or, I'm sorry, what our desired rotation is, which is going to be our input vector dot angle. Okay. And then by what amount? We'll do like 0.1 maybe. See what that looks like. See if this works. Look at that, nice smooth rotation to where we want it to go. I think that looks great. The problem, of course, is like if you're going the other direction, it flips considerably, right? Which could be an issue. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely ways to optimize that. But yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So that's how we're going to do all of that. I'm going to go ahead and leave this back as to where it was. Now I can go ahead and take a look. You can just okay. The difference between lerp and move towards. Let's go ahead and check that out, actually. Well, why is this? I just want to input vector that. So let's click move towards. Well, first of all, the regular lerp function does not work on vectors, although it does have a lerp. Moves from toward by the delta value using negative value like this. So let's do this. Move towards. Is this not only vectors? Oh, this is in GDScript. So we want to go ahead and look at, well, that's not what I want to do. Let's go ahead and look at the vector. Vector 2, okay. Yep, right there. Okay, and then here I want to look at the underscore move toward function. Okay, moves the vector toward 2 by the fixed delta amount. And then if we go ahead and look up the lerp, slurp. Okay, the slurp returns the result of the spherical linear interpolation between this vector and b by amount t. T is on the range representing the amount of interpretation. Okay, so I think it's just, they do a very similar thing. Certainly they move you from one value to the other, but I do know that linear interpolation, what it actually does is you're looking at like a graph. Let's just like look up line graph. Okay, so you're looking at like a graph like this, for instance, and not to get too mathy, right? Is that like, so you are, let's say that the point number 1 is -2 here, and then point number 2 is 4. A linear interpolation, the t value, or the amount that you move toward, is basically an amount of increment on the x-axis. So if you do point 1, every physics frame you're going to go point 1, point 1, point 1, and you're going to use the point 1 to basically find a coordinate in the middle of those 2 points, right? Linearly, so perfectly straight. Move toward, I think what it does is a little bit different. So linear interpolation actually uses a function. This might be way more than you wanted to know, so just let me know and I'll shut the hell up. But so like, yeah, you get this like interesting, I think I actually did this in algebra, which is hysterical. But because I ever since I did it in code, I've never thought about the actual math behind it. I just know it's, the other thing about linear interpolation that tends to affect me is that because it's really moving, it's not, the way I said before was actually wrong. It's not moving step, 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 step. It's moving like a point, that amount in between. So the point 1, for instance, if you use point 1 in this one of these functions here, you'd get like a point here, but then your next one, you're not going to move towards the point with the exact same amount. So I'm trying to think of how to explain that. It's like, let's say you're between 0 and 1, and you put, I want to move point 1. Let's say the first time it gives you actually move point 1. Then the second time, you're going to move like 0.08, and then the next time, so you're plugging this function in, the amount you move gets slower the closer you get to the point. Whereas with move toward, it's going to linearly actually change you by that value at every single physics frame. So yeah, so what I explained before was actually the move toward function. So every physics frame, like let's say, well, this isn't numbers based, but you would go like one portion each time. And if it was 1 and this was 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, linear interpolation is like dun, 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 and it gets smaller. The amount you move towards it gets smaller the closer you get to it. So it's actually because it's changing every single time. So yeah, that's how that happens basically. But that was probably more than you wanted to know. I think that in use cases, the difference is not tremendous. Although I do think Lerp would probably give you some smoother stuff. I typically like to use move towards because I have issues with Lerp not really getting me exactly where I want to go. Like it gets me very close to a point. Sorry about that. Visually, it's good enough, but then sometimes in code, Lerp doesn't get me to the second point ever. Whereas this one, you'll actually will reach this point. So let's try that. Let's do, if I just change this to slurp, is this gonna work? I think we have to put now a point, or let's see, slurp. Okay, let's see how that works. Okay, interesting. The other thing is that, oh yeah, because this is way too big for this, so we would want to put something like this, 1.1, right? Interesting. But then, of course, if I do, returns the result of a spherical linear interpolation between this vector and b by amount t. T is on the range of that to that. Okay, so maybe we just need to put like, make this a really small number. Interesting. Because that makes me think it's not working. Yeah, it's not doing anything. That's okay. I mean, yeah, I would always use move towards. That's just like what I prefer. And it also allows you to move towards So linear interpolation will use like 0.1 on a scale of 0 to 1, meaning 0 being your starting position and 1 being this position, and that's what your step is. But for move towards, you're stepping by an actual amount in the same frame of reference. So here we're stepping by an amount 100, so that's different. And yeah, that's basically how I do that. And now you can see that the stop is a lot more smooth. You can see it, and then we can even divide this by 4, so you can really see what's going on. See, it like really comes down to a halt like that, slowly, which is cool. And that's basically how you do that. If no one's got anything else, let's see, you still haven't, Enrique. Okay, perfect. I remember I thought that was interesting because that's typically a Hispanic name, but are you a Hispanic Russian? Because I feel like that's pretty cool. Okay, so change URL a little, HTTPS to FPS, and okay, so wait, can you share with me the normal URL? Just go to godotforums.org. Okay, Godot forums. I've actually never used this forums. I've always used the Godot QA, so that's interesting. Godot forums.org and see the latest unanswered question. Okay. Is there like a questions? Not seeing that. Oh, unanswered. Okay. All right, which one's you? Is it this one? Oh yeah, sure. Is this it? Because I can't answer that. Anybody else, please feel free to drop your questions and I'll try and answer them. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to the Reddit. How to make a custom visual script method in GDScript or C#. Yeah, I've never used visual script. And I feel like if you're going to make a custom visual script method in GDScript, why not just use GDScript? Maybe I'm confused. I was actually thinking about that today because like if you've never coded before, there's a pretty, it's not like I couldn't go use visual scripting right now. It would be difficult for me. There's a learning curve to learn visual scripting. Sure, it's a little bit easier than learning how to program in GDScript, but at the end of the light, once you finish either of those, you're gonna be able to do a lot more with actual programming than visual scripting. So, you know, if you're already a visual scripter, by all means, go for it. Do whatever's best for you. But if you don't have either and you don't know what to do, I would highly recommend trying out Godot, like GDScript first. Export of Godot Python, interesting. Back to shader code, cool. I just started working with shaders yesterday and learned some cool stuff. So I don't know, maybe I'll show you guys a little bit about what I learned in shaders. So the idea was that you can add a shader in Godot, and I know shaders are like, I was like, no way am I ever going to learn these. These are so difficult. You know what? Maybe I won't do that. Just in case I make a fool of myself. I don't really care. If you guys care about shaders, I will absolutely do that. But I think we'll actually just go on and answer people's questions. Okay. So this guy says, play random animation with animation player is not working. I think this is cool. This is something you could totally do. So if you don't know the animation player, we should probably copy paste this in here. So that way he knows. Okay, and this is where we're doing this. Play this guy's question. I'm going to leave this up for just a second and look at the comments here. So that way, when he goes through the stream, he can find this. Okay, GodotForums.org, see latest unanswered question. Should be mine. So Enrique, was that your question? I don't know, maybe it's just taking too long to load into the thing here, but anyway. So we're gonna do this one because I don't think it'll be too hard. And this is actually a pretty decent function. So play random animation. This and then he's shuffling the list of these two names and then playing it. So we'll go ahead and we've got an animation player here. I'll add a new animation. So we'll say we'll just make the shoot animation. All right, and then let's make this a little bigger. Okay, and then we'll grab the gun. And then I'll grow. So this is a quick lesson on how to use the oh, interesting. That's cool. Yeah. What he said. Yeah, I've never used visual scripting. Don't intend to But you know, if that's how you like to do it, I mean, do whatever's best for you and how you want to make games. Okay, so this is a quick lesson on the animation play. I'll just make 2 quick animations. So the shoot animation here, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the gun, and I'm gonna just go up here and key, well, I guess we don't need the rotation. Yeah, I think this should actually work just fine. So we're gonna grab the position here. I'm gonna add that like this. And then I think I'm gonna grab the scale as well. We'll do that, okay. And then we'll see, I don't know if I need this to be a whole second long. Maybe this will be like half a second like that, right? And I'm gonna change this to be 0.05. So this is the snap that we can move on. So now we can move every 0.5 seconds, which is handy. So we've got our first one. Then what I want to do is basically when we shoot, I want the cannon to kind of move back a little bit. So I think the first thing will actually be like half a second. We'll take this and we'll just make the X like, say like -10. Okay, that looks cool. And so we'll key that in. And then over like 3 times that frame, 1, 2, 3 maybe, then we'll come back to 0 and key that in right there. So then we can get something in. Yeah, so that actually looked pretty good. Maybe we even want this to be a little more dramatic. Do like, well, instead of this, what we'll do is just open up this and change this to -20. This is gonna be crazy probably. Actually looked pretty good. I don't mind that at all. And then what I want to do is kind of do a little squash and stretch animation to the gun and make it kind of flatten a little bit. So we'll go like this. And then when we shoot it, I would like to change the scale a little bit. So let's actually go here and key the scale. And then let's go here. And then I want to make this kind of get a little bit smaller here in the X. So I'll make this just 2. So you can see it gets much smaller like that. We'll key that. And then now you can see that you've got that kind of animation there. Looks interesting. Okay. And then, yeah, so that's, we'll make that the shoot animation, and that's fine. We just need something to show that we are shooting. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make another animation, and we're just gonna call this hit, okay? And I'm not actually, I'm just doing this in order to answer this guy's question about how to make an animation player play a random animation. Obviously, these are probably not the type of animations you're gonna randomly shuffle through, but you know, whatever. It's just for that purpose. So hit, what I wanna do is really just make our, yeah, I'm just gonna make our sprite kind of flash white, which I would actually probably do with a shader now that I know how to do them, but we'll do it in the simple way, which is how I usually do stuff. So we wanna go ahead and I'm gonna go to our sprite, I'm gonna go down to the visibility, and I'm gonna grab the modulate tab, right, or key right here. I'm gonna grab that, create, and then, I don't know, maybe we'll have it flash on and off. So we'll go 1, so here's 0.2, and then we'll do that. And then we can grab both of these like this. Okay, and C, and then do, that's weird. Why is it not letting me grab these? Oh, it's because you have to, I'm stupid, because you gotta go duplicate keys like that. Okay, so that's cool. Yep, that's perfect. And then what we're gonna do is then change the modulate here on these properties. So we'll go back to sprite here, and I'll change this to like very bright white, which I'll do with this. I'll make these all, probably don't even need to do that actually. Let's just go 2, 2, 2. Let's try 10, 10, 10. There you go, there's a nice white for us, and we'll go ahead and key that one in. The real problem with this though, is that you can't, oopsies, we'll do this, we'll duplicate keys like that. And so now if we play this, it should, there's our hit. So when we get hit, that's what it's gonna look like right there. I think that's pretty nice. Maybe we'll make this a little bit longer. So I'll make this like 0.6. And then, so after it flashes, it takes a little bit longer to get to, it fades back to this color. Let's make this, let's actually make this 1 second here. Let's play it from here. That's weird. It like goes very, very quickly. Oh, that's because we're ending. Yeah, that's why. Because this also, we want to go here, click duplicate key. There we go. Oh, we're not looping. I see. Okay, and then now we'll do this, duplicate key, and that'll probably be too long. Yeah, we don't need to go that long. So we'll change this to like that, maybe. I mean, that looks fine. Okay, change this back to 0.6. Yeah, all right, so there's our little hit effect. Yeah, so little hit effect there. So now we've got two animations here. I'm gonna go ahead and rename this though, because I like to be pretty consistent, and you can see I didn't capitalize the other one, but I capitalized this one. So this one is hit, and then we've got the other animation shoot. And so what I'll do here is then make a variable called animations. I guess we'll go right here. So var anims, we'll just go anims equals, I wonder if we can actually grab it from here. We can go animation player, playback options, where is it? Current animation. So I think if you get current animation, it'll only give you the one you're on, I'd assume. But there's got to be a way to actually just grab those rather than enter them in manually. But I'm not seeing it, so we'll just do it this way. So we'll say anims, we'll do an array just like he did, and we'll do hit. Okay, and then we'll also do shoot, just like that. Okay. Then I guess in order to do this, I'll add a timer node, and I'll add we'll make it 1 second. Auto start, we'll leave it on idle time, and then we'll connect the timer timeout signal. And at this point, we want to do something random and play a random one of the functions there. So I'm also going to go ahead and do, well, I guess shuffle. Yeah, we'll do shuffle. We'll do shuffle. So the way he's doing is actually pretty good. So if you look at the shuffles the array such that the items will have a random order. This will use global random number generator, common, blah, 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 blah. Sure to the new seed. Okay. So the one thing, I don't know if he posted, but you should do whenever you're using something like this is use so we'll go function ready. Okay. And then we'll say randomize. Okay. And what this does is it generates a new random seed so that any of the functions you call that use any kind of randomness, like rand range is very common, shuffle is another one, of course, that we're going to be using. Okay, animation list. I mean, we could check those out actually. Let's go to animation player. Let's see, methods, add animation, advanced, animation, get next, set next, find animation, get animation. Oh, there we go. Get animation list. Returns the list of stored animation names. So that's actually great, because then we can do that. So we can say this equals, we'll say, well, here, I'll get the animation player right here. So we'll say on ready var anim player equals anim player. Then here we'll say anim player. Well, actually, we're going to have to now make this an on ready var. Okay. Okay, anim player dot get animation list. Okay, and then just to make sure that's working, I'll say print anims like that. Okay, and we'll run this. You see it, and it's got hit shoot, which is perfect. I mean, that's exactly what we had. But this is nice because now it's dynamic, right? Obviously, though, he probably has a bunch of animations that he only wants to play random ones from within this list. But anyway, that's cool. I'm glad we went over that that function right there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say anims dot shuffle. I don't know why it's not coming up there. So if we go to array, you can see yet, and let's see how to use it. So it's void, so it shuffles them in place, which is good. We don't have to capture it to ensure that a new seed will be used each time. Okay, cool. And then what we'll do is then just go here, and I think we literally just do, oh wait, no, this is not. This is something complex I was working on. Anims.shuffle. And then we'll just say anim player dot play. And then we can just do anims, and then we'll do 0. So what this will do is it'll play the first animation in the track. So shuffle will randomly put them in some order, and then we'll play the first animation in the track. And this should happen every second now in our game. And if it doesn't, I'm actually, oh, interesting. Invalid call, non-existent shuffle and base pool string array. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so then it's returning to us a type of array that we can't use with shuffle, so then I am actually just going to go ahead and do this. So we're going to say hit. I mean, I'm sure I could solve that, but I feel like it's actually not even in his use case. So we'll do hit and shoot. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, it's totally working. I do actually think, though, I don't like, I mean, it's probably stupid, but I don't like the scale squash effect. I think it would be better if we just did like something like this. Yeah, I mean, it works. Yeah. Also, in real life, I probably wouldn't do the shoot animation that way because it's not, I thought it would, but it's not putting it in the X direction rotated towards a rotation. So yeah, and I don't think you can do that from the animation player, at least. You can throw it through a function that would do that for you, but you know, that might not even be worth the effort. So we go to shoot here, and then go to position. Can go here, and we'll just see it's the X. And then we could put a note here and say rotation and then equals get rotation from our script. But again, at that point, I feel like it's easier just to do that. Yeah, so it's a pool string array, and we could convert it to a regular array. But it's weird because I would assume that all the different types of arrays can do shuffle, but whatever. Anyway, so this works. This works exactly how he wanted it to work. So there, that one's done. We also did this one, but I kind of like having this here. Composing character from multiple body parts as scenes. I'm trying to create a character which consists from different... Also, everybody, remember, you can feel free to ask me any questions you want, and I will do my best to answer them. They can be literally whatever, and I'm happy to answer them, or at least give my shot. Okay. I'm trying to create a character which consists from different body parts, head, arms, blah, blah, blah. There can be different types of the same body part. The idea is to modify the character parameters using the type of each body part. Let's say metal arms, pick up heavy objects, but reduce jumping height. I had the following setup for simplicity. Let's just use character and arms entities. Base character, base arms, metal arms, blah, blah, blah. Next, I want to instance character body parts from code. So later, they can be changeable at runtime. I've got some programming background. And at first I decided to use dependency injection. Yeah, I feel like this is actually very easy, and it's kind of crazy that he's going into so much detail. Which are, can I instance scenes with their scripts, which inherit some base scenes and scripts, and other scenes, and have access to both scene nodes and script property methods? Yes. I feel like you could have tried that. Is there a way to use DI like principal and instances? So I still don't understand what DI is. Dependency injection. I just modify character init. So you shouldn't need to use the init function ever. But okay. The init function is like the ready function if you don't know, except that it's called pineapple and pizza. I would have to say no, but I did see a pineapple pizza recently that I was like, you know, I would probably eat that. So I you know, it was the Deadpool did jalapeno, ham, and it was a Hawaiian with jalapenos, and that actually sounds pretty good to me. Like it's got an, especially if the ham is nice and salty. But I don't know. It's also different because when I think of pineapple pizza, I think of like Papa John's nasty, like gross canned pineapple. But I'd imagine if we went down to Mexico right now and they cut up a pineapple in front of us, threw it on with some fresh jalapenos and some chorizo, I think we'd all have a good time eating that pizza. So it is hard to say. Papa John's, definitely not. I mean, that stuff is like, yeah, it's just, it looks like they're freaking raisins, man. They're disgusting. No offense to anybody. I don't know what you're... So, okay, Redefine says he likes... I see, like I'm saying, I think if it was good pineapple, I would enjoy it. Like, I think the combination of sweet and salty, and sweet, salty, and spicy is it's a win. You know, that's why it works and so often. But the Papa John's, when it's like cheap, crappy pineapple, I can't do it. Yeah, I recently found out that actually most places in Italy, they don't put garlic in their food, which is like, they're like, oh, these Americans, they put so much garlic in it. It's like so annoying. And I was like, that's crazy. But I feel bad, but I definitely prefer the garlic in my Italian food. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna do too much on this, though. I would say I don't think it's too hard. I actually have. So let's do chief. I made this character here just because I was trying to try some stuff out, and you can see that he has this run animation, even though it's kind of awful. And a gun like this, I've just been trying to see if I can do something like that. And it is actually made up of tons of different body parts. So each one of these body parts is different, and it's just this tree that I've sent, or this one image that I cut up, and then using the animation player, I've animated all these things through an idle and a run state. Well, I haven't made the idle state clearly, but because I don't know if you see when he's idle, he's just like, boom. But yeah, so that's how it is by default. But yeah, you can see that the run actually works pretty well and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot more you need to do, but yeah, you can definitely do that. And then if you put scripts on all of these guys, as long as you made them their own scenes, you could instance them, add a new child, a back character, and simply do something like that. Just get a little more complicated. Dude, yeah, especially, I'm sure barbecuing, you get a little bit of smoky flavor, caramelizes it. I mean, I'm actually a pretty big, I cook a lot of stuff. I know that's definitely not what the stream's about, but yeah, I mean, I could imagine that fresh pineapple on the bobby be pretty freaking good. Put that stuff, like that, like, I feel like that with like some spicy Cajun shrimp, and then salt it, maybe a little cilantro. Wow. Wow, I'm really hungry, and what time is it? Yeah, it's 11:30. So I do want to show something actually kind of like this that I've done in one of my other projects here. And so this is a game called Mecha that I started working on. Interesting. So ever since I uploaded or updated to Godot 3.3, it's broken pretty much all of my projects, which is a bummer. It's broken all of my projects. And it's just like a lot of these random images just won't import. And that's really bugging me, dude. It broke tons of my games and stuff like that. So I don't understand why that's happening. But now it's not even gonna let me show you the project here, which is a bummer. Because you can see if I go here, and I go, so it says dad shop inside. So this is images, buildings, dad shop. Here it is. It's right there. I actually don't see an import for it, though. Oh, no, because I separated the imports. So we have, I mean, there's clearly a dad shop import. And if I click and drag that, it's not going to work, which is fun. So I should be able to go to dad's shop. So it's one of these. Dad shop inside. Open anyway. Okay. And it's so weird, and I don't know. No, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Anyway, so we'll say I think it's base, maybe? Base character? What I wanted to show you was this. Base character adult. I don't know why this is lagging so much. Okay, base character adult. So what this is something kind of like that, but not totally. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to do a lot to fix it because it looks like Godot 3.0 or 3.3 kind of busted it. It broke a lot of my games, and only because it's making it so I have to re-import a bunch of random assets. Once I do that, it works fine. But it's super weird, super duper duper weird that it just like randomly, it'll file of like 20 images. It picks like one or two that just, it says, oh, they're not here. And then I have to delete them and re-add them to the file, and then it works. So yeah, meticulous, but yeah. So here's actually a dialogue plugin I made. But what you can see here is if we go to the animated skeleton, this is a really custom thing. And you can see I have script variables, quite a few here. And then one here is called texture. And so what I can do actually, so you can see he's actually idling right now. Let's see, I want to hide this collision shape. He's got an idle animation. And we can go to the animation player, and I could make this, well, here's an animation called blink. He's not blinking though. And then we could do Got a talk animation. Gonna play that. Oh no, because the animation tree is active. So let's do this. Let's turn active off. And now he'll do whatever I say in these ones, which is cool. Got a blink animation, stuff like that. But anyway, the reason I want to show you this, we'll do maybe walk. That's fine. Yeah, let's do talk. Talk, I like the talk. Oh, what's happening there? See, this is another thing that I'm sure that it's actually to do with updating to Godot 3.0, because this was not an issue beforehand. But now it is somehow. Walk. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so we'll do that. The point is, the reason I'm showing this is that I made it that if you export things in a typical, so I think if we go to main character here, I can click and drag this over here, and it should update everything. I guess it didn't. Yep, everything's broken. This whole game is broken now because that's such a bummer. But what I had done is made this so that, so in the script here, I'm just gonna clear this. It's gonna keep pointing out those errors there. I could go back to father. So yeah, I think it has to do with updating to Godot 3.0 because this worked flawlessly before. But the idea is that when you drag something into the texture, it calls a setGet function. Where is that? Not set interactable, load dialog data, set texture. So reset style textures, and then so basically what it does is it cuts it up for you and then sticks it into each one of these. And then the animation player still works. So all you have to do is click and drag that in there, and it will automatically create this guy that has all these animations, these default animations for you. And it just makes things much easier for importing new art into the game. And then of course, if you want to, you can change these things. So I'd make a new instantiated scene of this, which is quite cool. But let's actually, maybe I can solve this in here. Please, everyone, if you have questions, those absolutely take precedence to everything I'm doing right now. But I just want to see if I can maybe solve this. So, editor node, scene animation player, invalid method call, spawn dust kick. Okay, let's go to the animation player here. It looks like it shows everything being connected, saying, I don't understand why it's saying, let's stop this. That invalid, so these are all invalid method calls. I can't go into here. So the problem is the play sound and spawn dust kick. So these are both the culprits here. So if we go into here, should have those. Where is it? Let's just do this. Spawn 0 matches. Wait, what? Now I'm very confused. Because basically, what do I have to call spawn dust kick? So I could definitely had those here. Otherwise I wouldn't have put them. Yeah, it's doing some weird stuff. Maybe it has to do with my iCloud. Like, I don't know. That's really weird. It's just not even there anymore. Wow, okay. That's really odd. That's really, 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 really odd. All right, well, I guess I'm not showing you that anymore. I might actually have to downgrade back to 3.2 because there's not that much that I'm really in need of in 3.3, and it looks like it's broken all my games. So, yeah, I might have to downgrade back to 3.2. Let's go to don't save. That's really odd. Base character, adult. We don't need anything there. I'm trying to see, because like, so if I go here, what if I go to the GitHub? Let's go ahead and do, let's go ahead and commit all these changes. So QA2. Okay, commit that, push that. So these are the changes for the QA, so you can download this project right here if you want. All right, and then where should have, oh yeah, Mechanica. Okay, and then I'm really hoping that now if I go into this, and if I go to characters, base character adult, I have the spawn dust kick or no? That is actually mind-boggling, dude, because clearly I had those functions there. Wow, that's really, really interesting. But okay. Anyway, well, let's get back to this stream. So what I'd like to do, I guess, well, let's go ahead and look at some more questions. Not going to be doing this one. Let's go to the live Q&A. Let's do this. Marketing websites to promote my game. Stepify not working on y-axis, but working on x-axis. Okay. I'm making a match statement that compares a vector's x and y values, however, only works for my x-axis. Okay, so let's check this out. Print distance 2. This shouldn't do anything because you're not calling out something. Print vector2 dot underscore string to match. Distance 2, interesting. Var y-axis equals stepify, distance 2 this, distance 2 that. Okay. I think you should have to do global position dot distance 2. Maybe I'm tripping. All right, let's go ahead and check out stepify here. And also, so it snaps float value s to a given step. Ah, I see what he's doing. Okay. Snaps float value s to a given step. This can also be used to round a big floating number. Okay. Results give me this. Y-axis, x-axis 0.8. Which is false, which is true. I created a new Godot and it's still working. Interesting. So Stepify allows you to essentially step or snap this to those values. So for instance, he's showing right here, he's got a vector negative 0.7, right? Right. And then what he's doing is when he's stepifying that, it should pop this down to 0.7, right? But you're also comparing floats, which is always kind of a tricky business. Ready, prints, x-axis equals 0.8. Well, of course that's not going to equal 0.8. It's going to equal 0.6. Why would you think that should be 0.8? Am I crazy here? Okay, well, let me just comment. Should the x-axis not be turning 0.6? Maybe I don't understand, but that seems right to me. Okay, I'll go ahead and back to the Q&A here. Set editable children via script. Let's see. I would really love if somebody put their question in here because I would love to do it, even if it's just for fun. Just like throw down like, oh, I wonder if you could figure out how to do this. Otherwise, I might just make a little game here with this and make this thing run around and shoot stuff. Change the render aspect ratio. How do I override setters, getters, and a child class? File exporting not working. App not installed. Nulls. How do I end it when I ask for something but it's not there at the moment? Cross multiple times for various objects. Sometimes I ask for an object but it's just not going to be there at that time. So my next statement is an if. If the thing is not there, don't do anything. In this example, blah, blah, blah. So, if my client and my tilenet not equal null, return. What I'm trying to say, if I don't get a tile, don't do anything. Come in peek. I've been just trying to return an inventory item in the same scenario. If the player doesn't have the thing at the time, I get null and the program crashes. Okay, yeah, so yeah, he's showing this is instance valid function. If you do null, right, so you can say, for instance, if we do physics process, if I say if true, right, then print hi, and then we'll run this, and you'll see that hi floods the thing down there. But if we say if null, it's not going to print anything. And then we can say if not null, and then it's going to print. So that's how you would use null. And so essentially, if you try to get, for instance, if I try to get animation player, but then I delete it mid-game, it's going to return null, right? And then all you really have to do is then say if, you would just say like if animation player. So we'll say if anim player, right? And so if this object is null, then this just won't run what's in your if statement. Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that's a little easier than doing, you know, something like return or whatever. And then also what you want to do, you say and is underscore instance, instance valid, anim player. Okay, and then this is what I'll do in actually several of my games. I'll do this a lot of times with bullets because bullets are being deleted and some people might try to access aspects of that bullet, and then it would be dead. Okay, so someone actually replied to our Godot QA, so let's go ahead and check that out. If you have ever used Navigation 2D, 3D, have you run into performance issues due to too many entities? I wish to make an RTS, but really didn't want to re-implement navigation just for my game. It's actually funny that you should say that because I've just been thinking about trying to get into doing the, well, actually I haven't used navigation. I was going to talk about, so if I go, oh, interesting. I actually didn't even know about this. I was going to think about the, what's it called? Path? Oh no, I did this one. I want to do, yeah, Path 2D. Well, okay, let's check this out though. I don't know much about the navigation 2D, but so you're saying that seems like there's something wrong with the noise canceling on your end, creating really high-pitched noise when you type click. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry about that. I actually really want to hear what that's like though. But yeah. Nah, if it's 0.5, it rounds up. So if it's 6.5, it will round up to be 0.7. I believe that's how it works at least. I thought it just cut it down, like it truncates it. Yeah, that's actually exactly what happened to me because in my, not most recent game, but the Lunar Bastion here, that's what I do for my bullets, and that was the problem I was having. I was having some errors happen. But actually not in this game because I built it in 3.2.1 or 3.2.2, but then one of the Godot contributors, I think it was Aki and Maga, built, because this is GitHub, so you can actually go access this all on GitHub, right? This whole game, and so he actually, yeah, he actually did a he branched it, and what he did, I don't want to go to his profile. I want to go to, anyway, what he did was, is it pull requests, issues? Anyway, every time I just said if bullet, it would say if bullet and is instance valid bullet. Then we go ahead and do that. But yeah, okay. So, I mean, I guess I might as well try and solve this guy's problem. So let's do stepify. Snaps a float value to a given step. This can also be used to round a floating point number to an arbitrary number of decimals. Okay. Runs 96. So by float, by step. Okay. To a given step, this can also be used to round floating. But I also want to see what he's actually trying to do. Because there is a vector function called snapped that might be doing what he wants. I created a new and it's still working like this. Let's just yoink this code real quick. Okay, and then let's do this. Also want to go ahead and, no, I can't delete that timer though. So we'll keep randomize in here. Okay. Print x-axis equals var, y-axis equals stepify. It's right there. Mixed tabs. I see. Okay, print x-axis equals returns true. Well, I mean, why aren't you just printing prints x underscore axis, y underscore axis? Okay, -8, -0.7. Interesting. So then what if we say let's see. Let me see if I can actually get him on here, because that would make a lot of sense. There we go. All right. And then, yeah, when he gets there, I'll show him. So he's using 3.2.1, which is 2 versions out of date, but I don't think it really should make a difference. Specify distance to... I don't understand what he's doing right here, though, is what I'm confused about. So let's do this. Yeah, let's also do this. So this should equal 0.7. Oh, that is interesting. Wow, that's weird. Huh. My guess would be because when you work with floats, yo, what's up, Jade? What's up, Sojo? How's it going, everybody? Yes, that's what I assumed at first, and that's definitely what it is, because it's not going to print the trailings here, but yeah, so I think that's what we're gonna have to do. But it's weird because Stepify should not leave us with trailings. So I'm just gonna say that. Let's go edit. Comparing floats is always a tricky business. I would guess that you have some floating point values from this operation that are causing issues. Do you need to use equals exactly? Okay. Now the other thing I want to check out is there should be something in floats that says is almost equal to. About I thought it was is almost equal to, because I've used something like that before. Let's go into GDScript here. Maybe if anyone knows it. Yeah, you should not do that. But there is a way to do that. It's is almost equal to, and I just don't know where that is. Almost. Oh, wait. Is 0 prox? Okay. So that's not it. Okay. Returns true if A and B are approximately equal to each other. There we go. So that's what we want to use. Now let's try that out. Y-axis. So we'll say is equal prox this, and we'll do this. True, true. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna say that. I don't know if he's actually watching on stream. I don't know if Sojo Develop is who's asking this question. This is how's Yun. Sojo, what's up? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And we'll say that this function fixes the issue, but you should not compare floats. Whatever. I don't need to lecture him. Okay, it was like that. Oh wait, what did I do? Oh yeah, I did the opposite of what I wanted to do. There we go. Let's do this. Okay. There we go. Save changes. So I'll go ahead and do that. And there we go. That's a really good question. I definitely don't. Yeah, what's up, Vins? So hopefully you saw that. So the is equal approximately function, we'll go ahead and jump into that right now. Returns true if they are approximately equal to each other. Here, approximately equal means that A and B are within a small internal epsilon of each other, which scales with the magnitude of the numbers. Infinity values are the same sign and are considered equal. Okay, so to answer both of your questions, so the is equal approximately is what you should use for when you're comparing floats, because it basically says, are they about equal? When you're comparing floats in the way that you're doing, I don't know exactly why, but floats, even if you print them, are going, I remember having this exact same issue like a few months ago. And the reason is because even if you say like 1 equals 0.7, floats typically tend to store like kind of weird extra numbers. Or I mean, you can even see it a lot of times if you put like any kind of position to like a weird float value, like 0.09 or something, and you save the game, and then come back to that float. Sometimes it says like 0.0913 or something, like 0.090003, and Godot is just not going to print those trailing numbers after. So the reason, yeah, I guess you could do what Jay the Coldblood is suggesting, which is round it, which might actually be more, because then that will cut off anything. Or you could, for like if you're trying to do, maybe you could probably do float, I don't know. But float, and I know int truncates things, so maybe float also truncates it. We can check that out. But yeah, so then to answer Matthew Paul's question, so it says that A and B are within a small internal epsilon of each other, which scales with the magnitude of the number. So I think it depends on how large the numbers are and how different far apart they are. No, it says it scales with the magnitude of the number. So it would just be how big the numbers are, because I'd imagine that the accuracy depends on that, right? And that the amount of incorrectness that could arise would probably change depending on how big that float is or not. So this function just uses some kind of thing like that. Like I'd imagine that if we do this and we say, so is equal approximately 0.71, sorry, negative 0.71 to that. I'm actually very curious to see if this would be, oopsie, I forgot that it would do that. And then I can get rid of these. Don't need that anymore. I'm interested to see if that would say. So yeah, that'll say false. So you'll need to make it like pretty small here. That's still false. That's very interesting. But you can see they're obviously very, very, very close. Okay, so that's true. So you can see that this is the kind of, but this is the kind of trailing zeros that will happen in floats, because, and I can't tell you why because I really don't know, but they're going to round floats to really obscure numbers like this, except it'll be something like 947, some random numbers. And they'll still, because, yeah, so that, I think it really depends on that. But typically, if you're doing math, the difference should be, it's like if you say, like, anything like this, if you say 1 minus 0.2, I'm sorry, 0.3 should be negative 1 plus 0.3, right? So obviously, this should equal negative 0.7, right? And if we do this, this is always going to say true, because the amount that they make an error or leave floating points will always be compensated for by that is equal approximately function. Now, it does say something about this not being that efficient. But again, I really doubt you'd have a tremendous problem with that unless you have a really like massive game. So yeah, that's something to consider. Again, you should always try to find a way where you don't have to do that if possible. There's some numbers that can't be stored in a base 2 system. Good to know. Thank you, Matthew. My keyboard is lagging so much. Okay. By the way, idea of answering questions in the forums of stream is great. Thanks, man. I wish more people actually had more questions, though, because I love it. The very first time I did this, first question, put this guy on some guy's Q&A, hopped on, fixed his, it was awesome. 2 people did that for. It was a really great time, but not as much action today. Yeah, and yes, I will say thank you again to Redefine for putting this whole thing together. It's been really fun, and I'm really excited to actually get into the jam. We still don't know what the theme is, but everything on the board is great. I typically will not participate in a game jam if I don't like the theme, so I've kind of been a stickler. Like, it has to be a theme that's cool and that people can really do what they want based upon that theme, and it's not too specific. It gives people freedom and creativity, and so we've got a few things on the table, but I think no matter what, any of them that are chosen from this point, it's going to be a good jam. So yeah, very excited about that. Yes, of course, Vins. Of course, I'm happy to help you. Happy to help anybody that needs it. Jade the Kobold, I'm doing pretty well. And to be completely honest, I was actually feeling a bit down this morning. I don't know why. Like, that kind of just happens to me. And I was also, like, for some reason, a little nervous about streaming, which usually never happens to me. But I guess I was like, oh, this stream's important. Like, I can't screw it up. And I feel relaxed, good. Back to it now. So that's all good. Let's see. So let's see if I can go through here. So why are static variables constant not a thing in GDScript? They are. That's confusing. If you mean global, blah, blah, blah. No, he's talking about globals. Most likely he's a, okay. Those language, you can keep var in memory like this, blah, blah, blah. No matter how many times you call the function setup, it will only be called once. Honestly, this is only necessary in low-level language where you do memory management yourself. Yeah, okay. Is there wrong in my script? Rotate camera smoothly. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, I would probably do, they have a lerp angle function, so I'd probably do something like that. I think I might, because, so I was telling some people in my Discord, I have a Discord, if you don't know, and let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to post in my own freaking Discord that I went live. But I've got a questions and general tab here. And I was talking about it in my Discord that, it's going to be kind of let's put that right here if you want to join. That the other day I was like, I'm making a multiplayer game or thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, let's just start thinking of games that I could play that'd be fun for multiplayer. I think I'm gonna start doing that at least once a week, because I sat down, just started doing it, and the first few games were garbage. Then they got a little better, and then I'm like, oh, here's a good idea for like a legit game, and then I just kept flowing. So kind of like flow of consciousness in game ideas and then stuff like that. I think that's a practice that I want to start doing a little more. I always like using tweens. Just total, I snap from one topic to the next. I'm already here. I always prefer to use tweens than lerps because I think they're easier to set up, and I know exactly I can have a little bit more control over them. It's a little easier to set them up. Though for some reason people typically prefer lerps. And yeah, definitely for rotating camera by Scratch to use with buttons, since a lot of tutorials. So rotating, yeah, I'd assume that's probably a 3D game, but yeah, I would probably use a tween, and then you could set up the time depending on the distance. Like right now I'm not doing, I answered some guy's question, and that's why we, Rudge. I keep doing that. But I actually don't want this timer to do this. I'm actually gonna disconnect this function, okay? And that way, because I don't want that, I guess I might as well just make a quick game here if no one's got any other suggestions. Let's see, app not installed, nulls, custom multiplayer polls. That's, yes, I want to answer that, but not on stream, because there's not a lot of information online on how to do Godot multiplayer, and it's so hard. I'm like, I'm not even gonna make a tutorial. I figured out how to do it though, but yeah, it was not fun. Well, I mean, it actually kind of was fun, but it was just very difficult. Okay, common scene, inheritance. Problem with Raycasts. Holy smokes, that's a lot of answer. Let's see. So that's how you know it's gonna be good. So yeah, so I have a problem with Raycasts. I'm creating a simple game and I want to attack enemies. I create enemy and everything works fine, but if I duplicated him, the Raycast gone wrong. So I'm not trying to judge people's English. I know it's pretty honestly impressive that he can post this in, I'm sure English is not his first language. The script cannot detect duplicated enemies' Raycasts. If I change duplicated enemies' Raycast name and write it to script error show message. So it looks like he's duplicating. That's weird. v3.2.1, so that's not stable. I don't know why that even gives him the option to choose that. But that should not be happening. That's actually really odd. If you duplicate your play, oh, I don't even know what that means actually. Why would that happen? But anyway, I mean, yeah, that's, I'm sure he's doing something awfully weird, because we can, for instance, do that on our tank here actually. What I'll do is I'll add a Raycast 2D as a child of this, and we'll go in here and I'll click enabled and then exclude parent, cast to, I want to do a y of 0 and I want to do an x of, let's do 1000. Okay. That's weird that I can't see it though, isn't it? Oh, there we go. Okay, it's black. Oh, because the gun is dyed black. Okay, that's odd. There we go. So let's just go back then. So there's something like that, and then we can do, I wonder if I can change the visibility. So I guess that's all good. Collide with areas and bodies. We'll say, yeah, sure, we'll just do bodies. But you can see if I duplicate, oh yeah, I can't done in the scene root. But so if we go ahead and make a, so this will be the testing grounds. Okay, and I'll save this, go up, okay, save that. And then I go ahead and add our tank scene. And then I duplicate that tank scene. I don't have any problems with that. You can see that they both have the Raycast, they're both acting normally. And I'm sure if I connected the, I'm not getting any errors or anything like that. These are from previous things. Let's fix that. And then I've never ever used the value from move inside. I don't even know what it is. I just know it's returning something. I think it has to do with collisions. You can get information back on collisions and stuff. I've personally never done that. Ah, it means it's in a group. Yes, I'm pretty sure you're correct. Because you can go over to node. Like, yep, you are right. I've never used groups because typically for the things where people use groups, I just use the physics layers. Right here, if I go to collisions, and then you can query that and just say, like, for instance, I could say body.get collision layer, and if it's on 1, I know it's a player, and stuff like that. Okay. How deep do you tend to go in terms of your node inheritance? I guess it would probably be, for like the average thing, probably, if this is what you mean, not more than like 3 nodes deep like this, sometimes 4. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone, I mean, like in the main scene, probably much further. But I typically like to make things, I'll make different scenes of things if they really have anything that could be distributed among other functions. And, you know, I mean, you could see there if I go to my Mega Samus Chief that like this is like a pretty complex thing here. And we've got this, and we've got, so we've got a node, and within that we have nodes, and then within that we have different body parts and stuff like that. So this one gets pretty deep, but that's about as deep as I'd go. And this is like kind of a mess. I honestly kind of hate how gnarly that is. But yeah, so not tremendously deep. I don't think it's really a problem. I've heard of people putting thousands of nodes in one scene tree and still being fine. So yeah, I would imagine that you're probably good with whatever you really want to do there. Okay, so let's go here. I don't think I actually want to set up the Raycast I'm thinking about actually making that a bullet here. So common scene inheritance, problem with because timer not emitting. Oh, no one has posted anything. I think someone commented though. Yeah, someone commented, which you should definitely use answers. But okay. Kinematic character is jumping higher, lower every other jump. Actually, I do want to go check out Reddit because there were a few cool things. So Godot enemy top down. I think this one's actually really cool. Hello, everybody. Still working on an RPG game. I decided to make more types of enemies, but but I'm stuck and cannot code as the best. Does anybody know how to make a Zelda-styled enemy that randomly moves around and detects walls? I'm actually super down to do this, so let's do that. Okay, so I'll click don't save, and then I'll delete you. And I'm gonna make a new one here. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I guess we'll post this. Okay, because I myself am very interested in doing something like this. So it's basically a little grid-based movement system, and yeah, I'm actually very interested in doing something like that for a game that I'm thinking of. So I think it'd be cool. I watched a quick video and found out about a really cool function in Vector 2 called snapped that basically does this. So when you move, it snaps you to that movement. And so I'm really interested to kind of just try and get this done and kind of get a grid-based system. Until somebody else asks another question, I'm very happy to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by adding a kinematic body, a collision shape, then I'm going to add a sprite. Okay, and then we'll do icon. Again, we're using the classic Godot icon. I think it's gonna be pretty small. How small is this? So I'll save this as, we should probably save it as the user's name. Okay, so we'll save this as, I don't think we can have that / though. Alpha GameDev official, save. Cool, so yeah, that's pretty small, so we'll double that. So we'll go to transform, scale to 2x2, okay. And then, so we know that this is 64 by 64, so we're gonna be moving in steps of 128. So we'll create a new script here. Okay, so what I first wanna do is go into the vector 2, find this function snapped. Okay. Returns this vector with each component snapped to the nearest multiple of step. This can also be used to round to an arbitrary number of decimals. So this is actually very similar to the stepify function here. I think I also actually do want to add a Raycast node like that. Okay. And then we will make this, we'll enable it, set the Y to 0, and then I want to set the X to 128, like that. Oh, interesting. Oh, because it itself is also scaled, so we just want to set this to 64, and that will then check right at the end of our guy there. So the idea is that the Raycast is just going to check if we are colliding with anything. I guess we could also potentially use, I actually don't think I even need to use a kinematic body for this, because I'm going to be moving using tweens, is my idea. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna need, because yeah, we're also gonna check for collisions with this, and rather than using the built-in collision systems. So we'll click make scene root. Okay, I'll go ahead and add these guys there, and then I can delete this. We actually don't need the collision shape anymore. Nice, and then I'll go ahead and do the alpha, I think was the name. Yep, cool. Click and drag this up here, and then of course we have to change this to now be a sprite. Okay. Nope, that's good. Okie doke. And then we're gonna take, so I'm gonna do function, physics, process delta, which they do pass right now. And again, I'm just going to make a var input underscore vector. That should just be that. And this time I'll type hint it. No, it doesn't seem like he's gonna type hinting. That might be offensive, sorry. Vector 2 dot 0. Okay. So then what we've got, dude, I actually have been thinking about maybe either and now you node, or there you know, or no, and now you node, or know your nodes, which is kids can code, but he kind of stopped it. And just kind of going through, because like the other brilliant function that's in Vector 2 that a lot of people don't know about is, where is it? So one, is equal approximately can be used with vectors too, which is great, for the same reason as it can be used with floats. But there also is, let's see, it's direction 2. No one uses this, and it's amazing. So it's basically when you want to get the direction to something, you usually, in the normalized vector, usually do like self.global position. So yeah, we'll do self dot, or just do global position equals or minus target dot global position normalized whatever, and that gives you that. But all you have to do is, I think it's a lot more readable, is to then say global position dot direction 2, and then you put in whatever vector you want to get the direction towards, and it returns you a normalized vector. And it's really great. It really makes your code more concise, more readable, really nice, and stuff like that. So I'm just checking to see if anybody is anyone is posting. And also my girlfriend is doing some interesting stuff. My girlfriend's mom is actually in Sports Illustrated. She is like this older woman. She's like 56. So she's gotten a lot of popularity on there because she's the oldest woman to ever be on Sports Illustrated. And yeah. Timers, is there a guideline of when to add them to the tree or when to instantiate them in code? They are effectively the same, but is there a better one? I think, thank you. I think I'm gonna do it then. I think I'm gonna do that because I'm just gonna peek through the documentation, see if there's any stuff that I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot for not seeing that. Aknakos, I don't know how you say that. Regarding tweens raycast timers, is there a guideline of when to add them to the tree or when to instantiate them in code? They are effectively the same, but is there a better one? Tweens raycast timers. I mean, so you're meaning like rather than adding, like I did here, add it in the editor, you want to essentially instantiate a raycast, like doing something like, you know, var raycast equals raycast 2d y raycast 2d dot new, and then you want to say like basically add child raycast 2d. Is that what you're talking about? And then yeah, I'll just get going, and then you can answer me on your own, because if that's what you're talking about, I don't think there really is any like preferred like way to do it. I think Godot will handle that for you. Yeah, Godot will typically handle things like that for you. Okay, so now I want to take input, but I know in some tile-based games or whatever, you can move diagonally, but in my game, I don't want you to be able to move diagonally. I only want you to move up, down, left, and right. So what I'm going to do is essentially, well, I think the idea is that I'm going to have you're able to move 2 steps every time. So we'll see. I'm trying to think of whether I want to do 2 steps or just 1 step. But I guess because we're doing, for some reason I usually see the raycast in the tree and timers in the ready. You don't understand why. I would always recommend, at least until Godot 4.0, just adding your timers as a base here, because whenever you do something like, I'm assuming, I mean, you might create them like that, create timer.new, or a lot of people use this function. They say yield get underscore tree dot, I use it too, create timer, and then we'll say, for instance, 1 second, and then we'll do this timeout. And so what this does is that this will essentially make every physics process, only for this script, of course, each frame, or each physics frame, it will yield. I actually really don't think you should be doing this in physics process. You will yield for 1 second before running this. So if I say, we'll do this in ready. So we'll say func ready, and then I'll say print hi, and then here we'll say print Godot, and here I'll make this 2 seconds because otherwise I think it's going to take a little too long. So we'll do this, and you can see, and then it takes a few seconds, and then it prints Godot. And the problem with that is that if you are yielding using this function, and you die, you queue free this node, you change the scene, anything like that, it will cause your game to crash. And so that's a big no-no, which is a pain. So you have to be really smart when you use them on making sure that you're only using that in things where it couldn't possibly, your game could not possibly queue free the node that is calling them. So for instance, I basically only use it as in my HUD stuff and score calculations, because when I haven't done that, there's been a problem. So yeah, and then also like if you're just going to create a timer just to use normally, you definitely should just add it here, because then Godot can cache that you're going to be using a timer and it can deal with it more intelligently. Whereas if you have it in the script, Godot might be smart enough to know, I don't know, that it like, okay, he's going to create a timer in the ready function, so have one ready and just whatever. But it's better to add things to the scene tree if possible. Okay, function ready. What do I want to do? Oh yeah, we want to go back to physics process. And I'm still kind of determining what I want to do. I guess we should probably do something like how this guy wanted to do. So he wants basically the Zelda type movement. Here's some fantastic Zelda music here. So you can see the guys are randomly moving in any one direction. They're stopping occasionally. Yeah, and then of course they can't move diagonally. So we're gonna go ahead and I guess I'll do that first, because that'll be kind of fun to do. Yeah, I think that will be pretty fun to do. So what? I don't know if I want to do this in physics process actually, because I think we might actually be better off using a timer. And then every time the timer goes off, so we'll do auto start and we'll set this to, let's see, how long does that look like? So yeah, we don't want that every physics frame. Let's do every 0.1 seconds. And then we'll go ahead and connect our timer timeout signal. But I do actually want to sync the timer to the physics, because this is going to be movement based. And then we'll do this, so on timer timeout. Actually, in fact, I'll actually call this a movement timer, and then I'll go ahead and disconnect the signal. We'll do that, just like that. Okay, so that's what we're gonna use instead of physics process, because you don't need it to run every time. That might be worse, maybe. You can also do it, of course, in physics process where you count the number of frames, and then like, for instance, we know that the average frame rate is going to be 60 frames. So if we wanted to be 0.1 seconds, it would be, I think it's just every 6 frames, right? Or is that? Yeah, I think that's a 1/10 of a second. 6 frames is a 1/10 of a second, I believe. So something like that. But I'm just going to do it this way. And then what we're going to do is essentially, I also want to grab really quickly so I don't forget, ready, and then we're just going to say randomize. We're going to need that. Okay. And then we're going to say, so I'm going to say input vector dot, I'm actually really interested. So we want to either have vector2 dot right, left, up, or down. So there's a few ways we could do this. One is that I could just make a list of vector. Yeah, I think actually I'm going to do that. So I'm going to say var movement underscore options equals a list. And I'll say vector2 dots, and I'll grab this. I'm going to do this a few times. Say 0, and then we're going to say right, left. I don't know why I keep forgetting to put that up. Okay, and then finally down. Okay, just like that. And so now we have these movement options, and then what I want to do is randomly select an option from that list. So there's a few ways you can do this. I think probably the best is not, you can shuffle the list every time, but I think someone told me that there was a reason you don't want to do that. Such that the items will have a random order, blah, 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 blah. You see, I mean, that sounds good to me. I doubt we'll have any issues doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say movement options dot shuffle. Okay, then we're going to say input vector equals, okay, that's weird, movement options, and then we'll just pick the first one in the list. Okay, so then if we go ahead and then print move, or we can print input vector, right? You can see that it's randomly sticking out a direction that it's going to want to go every single time, and this is fine because we're shuffling it constantly. Now, we might even actually want them to move less than that, but the idea is that now what we can do is that when that happens, we can have them move a certain amount in that direction. So this is actually smooth grid-based movement. This isn't quite what I wanted to do, but you can see if you just go straight, you'll just keep going straight in that direction. And what I kind of want to do is tween in between those, so that it's not like you can't just keep going. You go like bump, 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 bump. So I think, I mean, I'll answer his question, but this is, you know, the way I'm going to do it in my actual thing. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm making a lot of assumptions, but that's typically how Godot is smart enough that it caches things. Like if you're constantly doing an addition, like for instance, a lot of time in my code, when I was doing circular code, I was really self-conscious. I don't think that's the word. I was worried about, because when I was doing angles, I would just do pi times 2, right? Right, because I know the unit circle enough to know that, like, you know, I think it's 180 degrees is pi times 2, right? 180 dag 2 rad. Why would you do this to me? Now I'm on a massive tangent. Pi over 1 pi. Oh yeah. 2 pi is 360. Okay, so clearly I don't know shite. Actually, I guess if you put it that way, we could just do that. But what we want is like a random movement like he has on every single one of these physics frames. And then we want to check if we are colliding with anything on that frame there. So I would say Pokemon Red movement would be a little bit different. The way I would do Pokemon Red movement is, honestly, they still do that same movement in Diamond, Pearl, and Up. But maybe you just didn't keep playing those games, because I played till I was an embarrassingly old age. But I would just do a typical movement like I did actually for the tank here. I would do something like this, and then I wouldn't normalize it. Or you could actually just do the very, very dead simple, just, you know, if action is pressed, UI right, do this, LF pressed left, do this, LF pressed down, do this, LF pressed up, do this. Those are like kind of the two ways that I would consider doing that. But this is one for AI, but two, we want it to kind of have quite a bit of random variation here. And so let's see. So we want to go ahead and use the function snapped, right? Returns the vector with each component snapped to the nearest multiple of step. This can also be used. But I don't even know if we'll actually need to use that. But we'll say, so we're going to say global underscore position plus equals input vector. And then we'll do times we want to go some kind of speed, but our speed, so we're going to say our, so we'll do constant step equals, well, this should be in all caps to be wise. That means my keyboard's running low because I have to really slam the caps lock. That's my indicator. So this should be 128, 64 times 2. And then here we'll just say times step. Oopsies. Okay, input vector times step. And then if we go here, I want to go ahead and put them in the middle. But you want to do snapped because if we don't put them on something that's exact, then we can say, for instance here, global position equals global position dot snapped, and then we'll say by vector 2. So we'll say vector 2. Why is that not doing it? Vector 2, 128, 128. I think that's how that works at least. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then, but the problem is this might start going not the way we want it to go. The other thing I want to do real quick actually before we start testing this is make it so that he's looking in that direction. So we'll say, do that right here. Oh, but I guess that is the problem with this is like, it's actually just, we're just snapping to that position. Where I think they do have a little smoother. Yeah, they are not just doing that. They're snapping, or they're moving to that position. So, well, I guess I could use a tween. Yeah, I think a tween is going to be the best way to do this. So I'm going to add a tween here, and then we will add the, that's all good. And we'll change this to physics, playback speed. That's all good. Okay, cool. And then we'll just grab that tween up here, right there. Okay, so say on ready var tween equals tween, like that. And then here what we'll say is tween dot interpolate property self global underscore position. And then we'll say global position, because that's our start. We're going to start from wherever we are, so we can get rid of this. To global position plus global position times input vector plus step. See, is that right? Oh, no, not this. We want to do step times input vector. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, and then how long do we want that? Then I want to do movement timer dot get underscore wait. Is it a get wait time? We'll just do wait time. Wait time. Okay, so that's how I want it. Essentially, this will sync it so that as long as however fast the timer is timing out, we're going to move that same rate. So that way the tween will not still be moving when we add more to the movement position there. Okay, and then how do we want to move? I think for right now we'll just do a translinear, and then we'll do, let's see, let's go to easings.net. So I think, well, you can't even see a linear, but I don't even think it matters. Because we don't want it to look like they're taking steps, right? I mean, I do in my game, so I guess we'll do it the way I'm going to want it. So I want to do a trans. We'll just do trans underscore sign, and then I want to do a tween dot ease in out. I think ease. Yeah, we want to do an ease out, okay? And the reason for that is because I'd like it to look like you're launching forward, then slowing down to your next step. Okay, so that is a tween, and then I'm gonna go ahead and what I like to do typically, something like this. I'll divide it into several layers like that, and then we need to go tween dot, yeah, we also can get rid of this now. Say tween dot start. Okay, and then we also, I think our rotation we want to snap. So we'll say, we've already done this today, right? So rotation equals input vector dot angle. Okay, and that should work, I think. Let's try it. Oopsies. Let's put them somewhere we can see. I think that's actually happening too fast. So we'll change the movement timer to be like 0.5 maybe. And there you go, there's some random movement. I mean, that's pretty good. You can see that it clearly looks like he's taking steps there. That's actually kind of what I want for my game. But you can see that they're taking steps on this grid perfectly. And then what you could do to ensure then that, you know, you could say global position equals global position dot snapped, and then we'll say Vector, nope. Vector 2, step. Okay, just like that. And so what this will do is that in the ready function, this will make sure that we are on this grid so that way if you have it, then you won't do that. But now we need to make sure that we don't actually go ahead and run through any walls, which you certainly would do with this. So what I'll do is just to add some walls to our scene, I'll add a tile map, right this, and then square tile set. I haven't done this in a while, so hopefully this works. Edit, oh no, plus, then I want to add this, and then we'll go ahead and just go into here, and then I think it's new single tile, region. Oh, it's not, magnet's not on, that's weird. Okay, we want to do this. Okay, there's our new signal tile right there, and then I think you have to click add, right? Oh no, there's that, okay, so then we'll put collisions. Why is that not working? Now do I click new single tile? I haven't done this in a while, so I apologize. Cancel. Huh. Auto tile. Let's go see if I can restart this whole deal. Icon.png. That's odd. I trash this. Because then if I go to tile map here, yeah, there it is. Okay, but that's I want to set the collisions for it because that's the whole point of this. Oh, click edit. There we go. Okay, that was weird. Okay, collisions, and then and then you have to, yes, that's why. Okay, so there's our collision shape. Now that's on the tile like that. That's why I did that, so we could quickly get that. And then now I want to change the color of these guys because these are not players, so I can do. I think we can actually do that in the tile set, which is better. But so we should be able to click on this, and then we can go to region, snap options. No, there's got to be a way to do it though. I want to change the color, but modulate. There we go. Okay, and then I want to modulate these down to like a black, so that way they look like walls. And then we'll click on this, and then. So now we've got a room here, right? And I can go ahead and get rid of some of these. This will be an interesting, like kind of little complex room. See how it can handle this. All right. So now these have collisions, and then what we should be able to do show collision. If true, collision shape is shown in the editor at runtime, requires visible collision shapes to be enabled during debug. Okay. Now we have to do this collision. What layer? I'm going to put these on layer 3, and we can mask with player. And then I'll go ahead and go into general, and then go to 2D physics, and then I'll set this to be the third layer, and I'll set this as we'll just say wall. Okay. And yeah, so now what we need to do is then query the Raycast 2D and say that if it's hitting something, then don't move that way. So I'm a little confused actually right now as to why the Raycast is sticking out quite so far. So this should be 0, and then if we go to the sprite, the scale is 2, and it's 64 by 64. So if we set this to be 64 in the X, that's weird that it's a whole 64 over. That's gonna be a problem. So maybe 32. So 32 is correct, but I don't quite understand why. Because it should be scaling the Raycast. Oh, because that should be scaling the Raycast, so we should be able to set that, but whatever. Maybe it does something weird when you scale that. I know that used to be an issue with scaling collision shapes, that you'd have that. Thanks, Ismir. I figured it out without reading your comment, but I appreciate trying to help me out there. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and grab, so we'll say on ready var Raycast equals Raycast 2D, like that. Put another space there because that is the correct formatting for Godot. So then what we want to do is before this, we want to query basically. So movement options dot shuffle input vector equals movement options. And then what we want to say is we're going to say well, I guess we should always have the, we'll do this up here. Okay, and then if we do that, and if we do debug, deploy with remote, no, not that, visible collision shapes, and we run this, we should be able to see that the, wait, why is the camera flipping over place? Oh, he's moving like crazy. Wait, what the heck just happened? What the heck just happened? Why is it doing that now? I didn't change anything that should have made that happen. What? I go to window, did I do something? No, that didn't change. You guys saw, like, I didn't do anything that could have changed that. You are so smart, good friend. This needs to be, yeah, okay. I think you can actually, and this is the one really good thing about Godot 3.3 is you can copy and paste nodes like that, which is dope. And then now I can go ahead and add our alpha character. And then here, oh, we haven't saved this yet, so we'll do that. And then I want to put our alpha character. Oh, but these were scaled up ×2, so we should do the same thing. Here, transform, scale. This might mess with the collisions, so let's do show collision, make sure those look good. Yep, they look good. Then we'll take our sprite here and just drop him somewhere in the middle of this, like that. You can also, I think, enable the grid and then enable grid snapping. And in these options, I think you can like kind of change that as you want, but I'm just going to use the snap function in order to do that for me. And thank you. I don't know if I gave you the credit, Oknakos. Is it Oknakos? Oknakos? Like, how do you? Is that your real name? I assume not, but it's kind of cool. If it is. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate ourselves to look at that angle. Then we're going to check the raycast. So we're going to say raycast dot is underscore colliding. So we're going to say if not raycast is colliding, then we're going to do this. Okay. I think this is the most concise way to do that. Oh, forgot to do that. Okay. So raycast is colliding, this function queries the area in front of the raycast and sees if we are there. Because we have snapped, I guess I also need to make sure that these are snapped. So let's see. I think it should have. So if we go to tile map and then go to this, edit, click on this, text offset, occluder, shape offset, shape transform, tile shape transform, interesting. Selected collision. Here, let's do this though. So let's. Oh yeah, okay. So that looks like it is on a nice grid. And then if we go to sprite, and then we go to transform, go, for instance, 128 times 3, and we'll go 128. Okay, so now that's an actual position he could be at, and then we'll just do this. Oh, except this is now not in the middle of the scene, so let's just go ahead and do that. Nope, it's going right through it. That's weird. It's also definitely not on the same grid, which is a problem. Oh, but that has to do with this. Because this is not, yeah, so we want this to be, well, in fact, let me just do this, because this is going to be way easier if I do it this way. Okay. And then I can just boundary around this like this. Okay, something like that. Then we'll grab the sprite and pop them over there. It's a little more interesting maybe. I am interested for sure at how far this guy can get through this before having some issues. Okay, let's do it. See if it collides now. I still don't think it will work. Because I can't tell if those are because... Nope, yeah, so it's not working, which is weird. Because oh, you know why? Because we haven't set the raycast. We gotta go to... Wait, why is this? Oh, collide with bodies. Right. Transform. Oh, collision mask, there we go. What do we want? We want to collide with walls. All right, let's give that a shot now. Wow, see, everyone's coming up with those answers and I'm just not even looking at the chat at the right time. Now let's see. Maybe I should put him closer to a wall, because now we're kind of like, please do it. In fact, what would be cool is if I put him in this corner here. I don't know, let's see what happens. Okay, so that's good because it's stuck in the wall, and now we know that it's not going to move if it's in the wall. But, huh. So I think it's definitely the biggest problem is that the our guy and the tile set are not on the same grid. So I think I can fix that though if I go up to grid, and then I think we can change the smart snapping, configure snap, and then grid offset, grid step, and we want this to be 128 by 128. Okay, primary line every 8 steps. Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. Okay, then I'll click. Oh no, not that. I've actually never done this before, so that's cool to know that that would work. But it should, theoretically. Oh, that's why. Okay, so then we want to go. How do I change the pivot offset then of this to be 0? Oh, you go offset, not centered. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then now I have to go into this. Oh, no, we don't want to do that in here. I want to do that in here. Offset, centered, and off. And now the raycast is still screwed up, but we can fix that relatively easily. We'll put the raycast. Well, first let's put the whole thing back up there. That all might have been contributing to it. What's the advantage of sprite parent node for the player with a raycast as opposed to a kinematic or rigid body with is on wall to stop him moving? Because we're using tweens with movement, that's why. If you were moving via just regular, then you could totally use that. But the problem with tweens is that we're actually just changing the position property rather than moving. So that's the whole point of those functions for kinematic and bodies and stuff like that, is like if you tell it to move via the move and slide function or move and collide function, it will check, for instance, if you tell it move 6 pixels this way, and it will check every single one of those pixels and see if one of those pixels you're going to be colliding with a wall. If you do tween, it's not going to do that, and your rigid body is not going to start checking for collisions until it's at the end of the tween. So you can get stuck in walls, or well, you actually can't get stuck in walls, but you'll just be able to go straight through the walls because you'll tween through them. And you don't have to do it the way I'm doing it, but I kind of like the way that it looks like he's like taking steps. That's like kind of why I'm using the tween here. And then now I just need to get the Raycast 2D transform. So it says is that position. So we want to set this at the center now. So this should be 64. For some reason, that's 32. Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. So 32, 32, just like that. Okay. Now if we go back here, I'm going to go ahead and delete him and then add him again. So alpha. That's what I got. And now, hopefully this will work. What? Okay. Oh, I'm super confused now. Oh, it's because okay, yep, that's why that's happening. So it's because when I'm changing the rotation, from code, and it's rotating around this axis instead of the center axis. So that could potentially be a problem. So what we want to do is this. It's there. I see. We turn offset centered on. Okay, and then we can set the raycast back to 0. Then what I actually want to do is then step at the ready. We'll do step is 64, I believe. And then now let's see what happens. Well, here, just to make sure. So if I grab the sprite and put him right here, he should be in like one of these. No, he's able to stay there. Maybe I just need to really encapsulate him real quick. See what happens here. So now he's stuck, because everywhere he looks, he's hitting a wall. Huh. Very interesting. So, I mean, there's definitely some major flaws with this. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Oh, just saying, imagining they are features. That's fun, too, but also just when, like, you think something's going to happen and it looks absolutely stupid. Like, I was making these turrets that were supposed to, I was trying to make a really smooth movement, and I look and they're just, like, flinging around everywhere. Or like if you watch Vimlark games, like, yeah, he had like a few where he was like trying to make this enemy chase a guy, and then all of a sudden just like came out of nowhere and like murdered you. It was really funny. It looks like this is kind of working, but at the same, okay, never mind. No, it's not. Why? I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with, let's just get rid of the rotation. So let's put the offset, oh wait. So we can do this, 32, 32, like that. And then we can put the raycast at position 32, 32. Okay, okay. That's weird. It should be rotating me around my offset. So if I go to rotation degree right now, oh, not that. If I go to rotation degree of the sprite. What? Okay. Negative 32. Negative 32. If we use centered, it's going to do that. That's the same issue. So if we go to this here and we go to our transform, we're at 256, 256. So that's, if we go 128, 128, okay. Oh, I know why. It's because this should still be 128 now. And then I think I'm just gonna get rid of this snapped, because then we'll just work on the grid, and then that might work. Let's see. So let me do this, because I don't know what things I had there. Come on. So clearly it's not rotating. Oh, because the axis is still there. So we want to take this off. And then we want to put the raycast. Oh no. So we do want this like that, I guess. And we want the offset to be at 32 by 32. But why? Dude, why? No! So we don't want, why can I not figure this out? I want the pivot offset to be in the center of the sprite here. So we go here, I want this to be here. So I do want it at, so I want it negative 32, like that. Whoa, now I'm really confused. Oh, okay, position. Okay, so that will center us though, which is not quite what we want. Actually, I think that's okay. And then we'll set the Raycast 2D back to the 0 position. Okay, and now if we rotate, we want to rotate our sprite. It should rotate around that. Okay, cool. And then if we go into the script, we're not snapping each other. If not Raycast is colliding, then we move. Yeah, okay, cool. Rotating, okay. Oh, because he's not. Yeah, I see. That's the problem right there. Here's your problem right there. I mean, this is the sketchy way to do this, but we should be able to do. But then you move that thing as well. Why can I not just figure that out? Well, actually, we could just do this. We could go to this, configure snap, and then we could set this to, we'd want it half of that. So we set this to 64 by 64. Nope. Okay. And then now we can do this. No! So it's stuck in the wall now. No, dude. Why? Is the Raycast not long enough? Okay, let's make this like let's just go 50 here. Should work. Now let's give it a shot. Dude, no way. So we're changing our rotation, okay, and then we're querying the Raycast. So we should look, and if to have the offset applied to the tile map instead of the sprite, making the tile set. This is so funny to me how like you guys are suggesting the fixes like right as I think of them as well. So yeah, like it doesn't quite make sense to me. What I'd like to do, I guess, is do this. So I'd like to say if underscore Raycast. Oh, say if Raycast dot is underscore colliding print colliding. Okay, and then now so it's like somewhat working. So it's colliding there, so it can't move. So why was it allowed to move there is my question. Because now it's stuck. Now it's not getting out of there. So then it's colliding. So that worked. You could see it right there. It was colliding, so it didn't let. But then it didn't. Dude, I don't know. But the Raycast doesn't register collision for the very first frame of the scene. It says so on the. Oh! The is colliding function returns false always for the first frame. That is definitely very good information because that's almost certainly what's happening. So we are rotating. So there's like a forced collision, if I remember correctly, for the Raycast 2D. So say force. Okay, Raycast 2D intersection every physics frame result is cached so that it can be used later until the next frame. If multiple queries are required during physics frames, the same frame, use force Raycast update after adjusting the Raycast. Okay, so I'm going to give that a shot. Let's say it's right here. I would like to do, well, we don't need this anymore. I would like to say Raycast dot forced Raycast update. Okay, and then let's give one more shot. Because we're close, we're so close. But I also don't like the word force in any of my functions. I don't want to say force something to happen that just doesn't sound like it could possibly be good. But it does look like it's working. Yeah, I think we did it. Yeah, I think we did it. Dude, thank you, John Russell. That was great. I actually totally forgot about that and had that exact same problem when I was making that itch game I was telling you about. Yeah, I had the exact same issue there as well. Let's actually, I want to go ahead and check out my Gmail real quick and see if anybody responded about any of these. Yep, we got one right here. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, so I helped that guy out and he selected me as best answer. There you go. But yeah, still no collision through wall. So I think we did it. That's pretty cool. Yeah. There you go. Then we got some random enemies with movement. Now you could make it, of course, so that they want to move towards the player. But then I think what we'd have to do is, well, there's a few ways to do that. But because we only want them to move in a direction towards the player, what we'd have to do, I'm actually really interested in that if anyone else does. John the Legend Russell. Yes, you did it. Yeah. So now I think, like if we want to essentially make it go towards a point, right? So I could go in here and I could, well, first off, let's get rid of these guys. Open that space up. And then let's say I want him to move over here, right? So I'll go ahead and add a sprite node. Yeah, we'll add a sprite node. And then I'll add the icon.png to it. And then again, we'll scale this to 2x2. And then what I'll do is grab this like this and then just put this like over here. And then I want to make it brown. Is that possible? I feel like I should be able to. With this. I make brown. Whatever. Oh, that's kind of close. It's kind of brown, right? It's supposed to be a chest. That's a chest. We'll call this is our chest. There's lots of goodies in there. And we want our guy to go and try to navigate to that. And this is basically the way you would use this is that like if you had your player, for instance, you want them to start moving towards the player along this grid system. And so the way I'm thinking about doing this is like, so we know, first of all, we'd go ahead and get the direction so we know what direction that player is. Then all we would do is we would choose a random movement either to the right. Like if we know that he is down here, right? That means that we know that we either want to move to the right one or to the, or down one, right? And if he's directly across from us, we know we just want to move directly forward to him. And if he's over here, we want to start moving down. Then we also want to check, for instance, still, if we're hitting a collision here, then we can't move that way, right? But we want to start moving away from here. It was okay for him to run into walls and pause there, but I feel like if he's chasing an enemy, we don't want that kind of behavior. But that's all a little complex. I do think I would like to kind of figure out, yeah, just getting him to move towards him. And I already have kind of an idea on how I would do that. So I'm going to do something that is not, I would not do if this were a real game, but in this one, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Usually I would use a global variable for what the player is, but in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say get underscore parent dot get underscore node chest. Okay, and then I'm going to say, we'll make a new variable here, var target, target, and then I'll say target equals that. Okay, so target equals this, or in fact, we should probably do this. Just say, wait, what? Why would that happen? Okay, and then we'll say on ready var. That's the whole point of on ready var is actually. Okay, so on ready var target equals this. Okay, and then what we want to do is then get the direction to that target. So I'll say, well, first off, okay, so we want to say if target, okay, okay, so this is all going to stay the same, but this is going to change. So we're going to say if target, do this, move in a random direction, and then we'll say else, I'm sorry, if not target, and then here we'll say else pass, okay? And so what we'll do, all we're going to do is, like, if there's a target, we're just going to change our movement choice, but then this is all still going to be absolutely true. So what we want to do is say var dir equals global position dot direction to target dot global position. Okay, and like I said, this returns a normalized vector that points to that guy. So in this case, at least we can imagine that it is pointing right, like that way. So essentially we want to say, like, based upon what direction that's pointing, we want to move. You could also use navigation 2D, which I spoke of earlier, not suggesting anything, I'm just pointing out. Well, why aren't you suggesting? I think it's a great suggestion if you were suggesting. I would love to actually try that out and try to figure that out. I've never used that before, but I mean, I've been using Godot for over a year, so it's kind of nice when at that point I can figure out things out a lot faster because I understand how the documentation likes to present information. So let's use the navigation 2D. Okay, navigation. Do you have to use a navigation mesh with this or something like that? Provides navigation pathfinding within a 2D area specified as a collection of navigation polygon resources. By default, these are automatically collected from navigation polygon instant nodes, but they can be added on the fly with nav poly add. Okay, get closest point. Okay, closest, get simple path. Returns the path between two given points. Points are in local coordinate space. Okay, returns the path between two given points. Is there a step? Start, end, and then optimize. I'm confused though, because like if I want it to move in this kind of, I would make the navigation polygon by hand instead of through the tile map though. Yeah, I haven't messed with these at all. Nav poly underscore add adds a navigation polygon. Okay, let's see. I know that has methods to draw outlines or use indices of vertices to create navigation polygons. There are two different ways to create polygons, either by using the add outline method or using the add polygon method. Add outline, var polygon equals navigation polygon.new, var outline equals pool vector array. It's got several vectors, interesting. Are those like the possible movement steps you can take? No, okay. Because that's, yeah. Okay, polygon.add outline, polygon.make polygons from outlines, polygon.nav poly equals polygon, using add polygon indices. This seems like it's like very overcomplicated considering like I think I could do this pretty easily without this. Not pretty easily, but like relatively easily. Like this is like if I can't just put two navigation 2Ds on a node and say return the straight at these steps, if you make tile map a child of navigation poly 2D, it will pick up the collision polygons you made in the tile map. Yeah, see that's too much. That's also it kind of defeats the purpose of making this raycast, because then then we don't even need it, right? But I actually do think that might be better in the long run, because you might want to like say, instead of just having them randomly wander this way, we might say randomly pick a point somewhere and then actually move to that point and then move back. That might be a little better than the way we're doing right now, which is totally random. But I'm gonna prefer to do it this way. So essentially we get the direction to the player, and then we want to move either, there's only potentially two ways you can move to that, right? To the player. So in this instance, you can only move right or down, right? And I think we want to move in the largest position here. So we want to say, okay, so we want to say if, yeah, so I just had an idea, and I think this is going to work. I want to say if we want to compare basically the x and the y, we want to say if ABS, which returns the absolute value of dir underscore, oh wait, we should just be using input vector for this. Yeah, this should be input vector. Input vector. If absolute value input vector, yeah, if absolute value input vector, or should we? Because I'm going to bet to change it again. I don't think it really matters. If absolute value input vector, yeah, this should be dir. Just for reading's sake. So if absolute value dir dot x is greater than ABS dir dot y, then we're going to say input underscore vector. Why not like this? So if our absolute value of the dir.x is greater than the absolute value of dir.y, input underscore vector equals, so in this case, it's more towards the x than it is towards the y, right? So we want to then move to, so we'll say input vector equals the dir, oh no, so vector 2, and then dir dot x as 1, and then 0, and then we'll say dot normalized, okay? And then we'll say else, and then we'll say basically the opposite here. So input vector equals 0 dir dot y normalized. Okay, let's see. What's everyone saying about that? The paths you might get can be kind of special sometimes. Yeah, that's kind of the reason I wasn't exactly suggesting. Indeed, it's more complex, but helps the complex use cases. Yeah. I think eventually that might be something that I would want to do, and that's something I have to think about, because I want to make like a roguelike where you move along paths like this. You have certain tiles, you choose that, and for the player, I think it's actually much easier to make the player than the AI movement. But so I want to see what, everyone can check me, see if this makes. This only works if there is nothing blocking the path. Yeah, you're right. If there's something, oh, true, because if something's blocking the path, then you'll just get stuck. Okay. So we should check there. Huh. Okay. All right, okay, now ladies. I think I also just don't want them to get stuck in a corner anymore. So I think what I'm gonna do is make another function called function pick underscore input underscore vector. Okay. And we're just gonna call this. So I'm gonna put this all in a function here. Okay. And we're gonna say if not raycast colliding, move that way. And I'm gonna say else. Oopsies. Pick input vector. And here we should say also pick input vector. So this will then pick a place for us to go. It'll check, it'll do this and then check if we're colliding. Okay, if it is colliding, then it'll just tell us to move again. Although this might give some weird issues, but I can see easy ways to fix that, I think. So let's see. There's also the class A* for intelligent grid-based movement, but once again, more complex to use. Already figured out what the high-pitched sound was. Never been you. Had that odd tweet option in the background. Okay, thank you. I was also worried about that because I'm like, I've been streaming for a while and no one's ever said that. But okay, I'm glad that wasn't me. Yeah, so the way I would get around this eventually is to put this in here and then just put raycast.rotation equals that, and then you can never see the raycast, so that's fine. And then now let's see. Interesting. Oh, because it's just going to keep picking the same one. I see. So maybe we'll put that pick input vector and we'll put that in here. So we'll do this. We'll say raycast dot rotation, oopsies, rotation equals input vector dot angle. Okay, and then we'll say raycast dot force raycast update. I actually am going to get rid of this. So I'm gonna put this all in here. Okay, and then what I want to say. Oh no, we need this to go after this. Okay, so a little something like that. Okay, now right now nothing has changed. We've just refactored, but the reason I wanted to do this is so that we can then check right here if colliding, and then we can use that information right up here. I think A* is probably what I want, but I'm actually very interested now. An implementation of to find the shortest paths among connected points in space. Maybe this isn't that difficult though. Let's also use non-Euclidean distances to do so. Create class A*. Okay. Complete cost. Compute cost. Should return a lower bound for distance. Okay. Returns array with the points that are in the path found by A* between the given points. The array is ordered from the starting point to the ending point of the path. Note this method is not thread safe. If called from a thread, it will return an empty pool vector that will print an error message. Okay. Wait a second. This might actually be. Oh, you need IDs. Okay. Get point path returns an array with the points that are in the path found by a star between the given points. Returns an array with the points that are in the path found by a star. Okay, maybe I don't understand. Compute costs. So I'm assuming I need to use these first. Compute costs. Called when the computing cost between two connected points. Note that this function is hidden in the default a star class. It's weird. Called when estimating the cost between. I don't know what cost is. Funny part is that a star might be more complicated, hard than using navigation 2D. It is just better explained. Diego, I'm so excited that you're so excited, dude. That's very. I remember my first game jam was only like a year ago, and I don't forget or haven't forgotten much of it. It was actually the Mziz jam. Didn't finish my game, and I was like super defeated. And then I did my second game jam, which is when I made my Black Body game, and it was the best game. I still think it's the best game I've made right here, Black Body. Super duper fun. What do we got? Someone joined Godot Godot Jam. Oh yes, everybody. This is the whole reason I'm doing this is for the Godot Jam. In case people are not aware, I'm co-hosting it. It's gonna be really cool. Tons of different YouTube Godot developers are on it, and you are free to join. Currently, 213 people are joined. I'm pretty psyched about that. And yeah, it starts in it starts on May 24th. So what's that? Like a little over a week? No, it's like almost 2 weeks. Yeah. Cool. Okay, what are these? What do we got here? Some new subscribers. Thank you, guys. So I don't know what cost is. Path ending point. So this also needs IDs. So I'm wondering where we get the IDs. Reference, blah, blah, blah. You must add points manually with add point to create segments. Okay. You must add points manually with add point to create segments manually, and create segments manually with connect points. Then you can test if there's a path between 2 points with the area with the R points connected function. Get a path containing indices by get. This is more like, I think this is much simpler. I need some water, but adds a new point. Okay, so int ID position vector 3. I guess I wonder it might work with the vector 2, or we just put a vector 3 with a z of 0. Weight scale float. I don't know what weighted scale is. The weight scale is what's multiplied by the rest of compute cost. We're determining the overall cost of traveling across a segment from a neighboring point to this point. Thus, all being equal, the algorithm prefers points with lower weight scales to form a path. Oh, so we have to form the path. We can't just say connect. Creates a segment between the given points. If bidirectional is false, movement from ID to ID is allowed, not the reverse direction. Sorry, connect points, 1, 2, false. Creates a segment between the given points, bidirectional. I am very interested to try this. So let's go into here. And so I think you can't add this. You have to do, so we'll do, we'll star var a star equals a star dot new. Okay, and then do you have to add it or anything to the scene tree? Class my a star extends a star. Oh, we have to. Interesting. Hopefully this works. I don't know if it will. I'm assuming you can't add. Yeah, you can't add a star this way. Okay, so this is interesting. I've never used this. So a star equals a star dot new, and then in the ready function, we'll say a star. Why is that coming up? No, I want a star dot add point. Okay, and then we'll say ID 0, and then we'll say global underscore position. We can leave that because that has that. Let's see if that gives me an error. Yeah, it's gonna give me an error. Kind of from vector 2 to vector 3. So can I say vector? Can I say vector 2? I'm sorry, vector 3, global position, and then say 0. Is that gonna work? No. Okay. I gotta do global position dot x, and then global position dot y, and then 0. Okay. What do you think of that? Okay. No errors. That's good. And then I want to say a star. You add all the points with their IDs, then add how the points are connected, do a for loop to connect the grid, and then call the get path. Good use on 2D grid, add a point in the center of each room, point at every entrance point. Wait, there's an A star 2D? Oh, it's gonna be A star. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Okay. Okay, and then we'll say global position. So I guess I'm just confused. Like, how do I affect the step of the points? Like, I want them to be every 128 pixels and only in certain directions. Because if you can't do that, then there's almost no point. Because I could definitely figure it out doing the other way. So okay, add point, are points connected. Returns whether two given points are directly connected by a segment. If bidirectional is false. So we need to do, connect points, right? So someone just said it, actually. Let me listen. To use A star, you add all the points with their IDs, then add how the points are connected, do a for loop to connect the grid, and then call the get path. But that just seems like so much harder than doing the most complicated. The most complicated thing I ever did is I made, it was just a Raycast 2D here, and then I had 1, 2, 3, 4 Raycasts. Then the one in the center would rotate to look where you want it to go. It would check where the Raycast, this would point towards, for instance here, then it would check here and here. It wants to go either of these. If this one is clear, then we would go this way until, this one is more clear, right? And that wasn't that hard to make. And I feel like that's easier than doing this because, what am I doing? Because so you're saying you could add a point for each walkable tile. Well, that's a bitch and a half. Yeah. And also I think that would still allow us to go diagonally because, I see how this works now, and I think it's not helpful. In my case, at least. Like, it's much less difficult to do what I'm about to do right now, which is to, when we do the pick input vector function, so we're no longer going to use this. We're going to do this, and then that should be okay. And then essentially what I want to do is that, if we are doing this or this, I wonder if there's a way I can just recall this, but because I want to start back up at the top. So we pick the input vector, then we're going to rotate towards that position and check if we are colliding. If we are colliding, what I want to do is then, for random, it's okay to just restart because it'll reset. But here we'll just keep picking the same one. So essentially what we need to do is probably store that value. So we'll say var collided equals false. Okay, and then we'll say maybe I will just keep this here then. So we'll do this. Okay, then we'll say if raycast dot is underscore colliding pass for right now, and then we can just get rid of this and put else. Right. So if it's colliding, if raycast is colliding, then collided equals true, and then we'll say pick input vector. Okay, and then here we'll say collided equals false. So the problem with this is then whenever you get the chance, can you take a look at Pico CAD and maybe give some insight on how you could use it for 3D models in Godot? No rush though. Okay, let's see. Ooh, interesting. I think.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here.
I think Vemlock used this.
Looking at machine. It's designed for making virtual machines, basically. It is written.
Oh, that's cool.
In Pico 8, and you can use it.
Oh, it was written in Pico 8. That's cool.
Absolutely, kind of obsessed.
I really dig this style of art too, so I'm actually pretty glad you just turned me on to this.
It's probably the biggest thing you're going to want to know. So there's the basic controls. You go down a little bit further, you get kind of a more comprehensive set of commands. There's another reference in here.
If that's all the docs, I am very very encouraged.
That out, and then, okay, I thought that there was a pan. I don't immediately know it. You'll notice as I
mean, I think I understand how this works, which is cool.
So if I select this space right here, I'll click it right there. I can come down here and I can define the area that the texture is.
Interesting.
Now,
okay. Cool.
But let's say, for example.
I mean, yeah, I've also used Blender, and it actually like really is tough to use. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad, dude. I feel like I don't know stuff right now. Because, so the other thing is, like, I wanted to recall this function if this is happening, right? So I think what I want to do, too, is go to this. I'm going to turn one shot on, and then what we'll need to do here is then say timer, or say movement timer. Where is it? Movement. Oh, I don't have it. Let's do this then. On ready var, movement timer. Well, it should be timer equals movement timer. Movement timer, and then here we'll say movement timer dot start. Okay. And so the idea here now is that we're only going to start the movement timer again when this happens. Otherwise, we're just going to recall the function here. So then I'll just say underscore on movement timer timeout. So, and the reason this isn't cyclic is because the second that this isn't colliding, we'll set it to false, and then we'll just go through. So this is good. But now we need to actually make it so that pick input vector can then deal with the collided here and actually do something that we want it to do. So we want to see, right, that if we collided on the last turn, then we clearly can't go that way again. So, and we say, and not collided. Okay, go this way, else go this way. Now, I don't think that's what we want. Let's see. So if we get this and it says to go X, go in the X direction, let's say, and then it should be not collided by default. So the first time we pick this, right, it should be fine. But the problem is like if we, the problem is like if we're going Y and we hit something, then say or not collided, but that's not what we want. Basically, I want to remember what direction we went in the last time and then just go in the other direction. Oh, well, we could do this. We could say if, not times -1. Anyway, I'll just do this. So we'll say if not collided. Okay, then we want to do this stuff. And then we'll say else. Okay, and then we're going to do this again, but now we're going to flip these. Right. Let's give it a shot, and I'll see what people are saying. Did we do it? I just did it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, sacrifice size. Wow. Okay, so clearly we've got an issue here. Because once we actually reach our target, there's a problem. But we could just do that. Yeah, that's going to be pretty easy to solve, though. Let me... let's run this again. It's the easiest way to fix the quit. Okay, so essentially the problem is that once we actually get to our target... Okay, else, do this. So we want to check if we're at our target position, right? That is, I mean, you know, I'm not trying to really do this, but also, by the way, I keep the most about going from 3D models. Godot is tough. Godot is stuff like terrain and all that. Yeah, true. Okay, so this is great, except that I don't think it'll work in this case. Weird. Oh, because it's constantly going between them. To be a problem. Okay, well, I have already come up with a solution. Move this right. No, I just wanted my game to unbreak. So the solution is that rather than make collided a Boolean, what I'll do is make collided equal to 0. Okay, then we'll say if collided plus equals 1. Okay, and then else collided equals false. So we want to say collided equals 0. And then we have to be a little careful here because we're going to say if not collided. So this will run if it's 0. So if not collided. Well, we can just do this. If collided equals 0, do this. And then we say elif, basically else, do this, right? But so how we're going to fix this is then if collision is greater than 1, then we'll say, so right here, what we'll do, say, right there, we'll say if collided greater than 1, right? Then we're going to say input vector times equals -1. But I still foresee some issues. I mean, this is not going to be a problem for there. We need to solve this one use case that I think is still not going to work, actually. Oh, it did work. Okay, so that did work, but my problem with that is that I can easily foresee. So here, let's do this. Let's go to the tile map and do this, and then let's move this right here, and then I think this will break it right there. Oh no, that won't break it. Wait, fuck, how do I break this? I thought I could have sworn I just had it in my head like how I would break it. Because it starts here, then it checks here, right? So then the next one should be there. No? Maybe that'll break it right there, I don't know. No, that will not break it. What if we do this? I mean, I'm pretty impressed that this is working. Potential-based movement. That's cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate you stopping by. You've definitely been helpful, and you know, just the joy to have around. Same with everybody. I mean, really just positive community. Everyone's being really nice. I'm learning stuff. I mean, I was supposed to teach you guys, but clearly I got some really intelligent peeps checking me out. Terrain is a weird beast. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've never done any kind of 3D, and I kind of don't intend to because I'll be starting medical school in a few months, and when I do that, the amount of time I'll have to spend on game dev is going to go down dramatically, and thus, you know, I got to be careful with, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to dive into spending all this time learning that when I could actually start working on a game. So, yeah. But this has got to break. I'm pretty sure this is not a good enough system. I got to find a way to break it. Like, okay, so let's, obviously I think I can break it if I put it in here. Right there. Now what happens? It just spins in circles? Yep, there we go. Okay, that breaks it. But that's never gonna happen. What about that? Does that break it? Yep, there we go. I knew it. Okay, so this is gonna break it right here. Then this doesn't, which is cool. But obviously there's some potential issues. And that was because, so we need one more case. So I'm doing this kind of a difficult way. We want to say do this, and then if this fails, right? So elif, I want to say elif collided equals 1. Okay, and then what we can do is say else pass. So basically what we want to do is like say this will work in all the other cases, and then in just one case do we need to use this. This is when this was the originally correct vector, right? So this chose the correct, or the opposite of the correct vector. Then we rotated one down. Wait, right? So we did this. Oh yeah, so first we check the regular. If there's a collision, then we check moving the other way. And then if that's broken, what we were doing was just flipping it. But the problem is that would only flip this, and potentially that would just keep flipping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in that case right there. So the question is, how would we prevent it from just flipping back and forth? So I mean, I can think of one way, which is just to save whichever input we had last. Oh wait, that's already happening. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so we have whatever the input vector was on the last time. So we can say, essentially, yeah, okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so case one, right? We look where we want to go and we don't run into anything. Okay, we go that way. Case two is that after we have already hit something, right? If we hit something, then we come back through this whole loop and then we pick the opposite. We pick rotated, right? Okay, and then finally, could you keep a list of directions that you've tried and failed? So that's essentially what I just realized, is that we still, so because input vector is stored, we actually remember our last input vector. So why is this cool? Yeah, okay, sorry. So the reason is like, so we can now use that because we'll remember it from the last time. So now we can say, essentially, thank you, Ennis. Shop, 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 shop. In game shop. What are you talking about? Are you saying that like I can just go download something that does this for me? Or are you just spamming? Ennis, so what we're doing is that I've got, I'll go ahead and show you. So I've got, oh, that shouldn't have broken. Wait, what? 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 Oh, yeah. That does break. Sprite. Move you. So we're making this grid-based movement system here. And right now I've made it, oh, that's weird. Why would that happen? Oh, because we can offset it now. We have to make sure we're on the correct tile. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, so, yeah, okay, that's gonna break the game too. Cancel. Let's do run. Okay, so what I want to do now is make this a little more static. So we're trying to make it a kind of pathfinding almost algorithm here. So we check this way. Okay, no collision. Here is one collision. We rotate to the right. Then if both of those fail, what we want to do is then flip the other way. Check that way, and then check, you know, the other. We want to check the other two directions. So we can infer that we have checked both of the ways we want to go if we have done this. I mean, the obvious solution is that I could just copy and paste this and then flip this and then make these negative numbers, but that's not quite what I want to do. I wonder if they have that. So let's see if there's like flip, rotate, rotated. So I think we can just rotate it 90 degrees. So I'm just gonna say input vector equals input vector dot rotated 90. What is it? Pi? No, it's pi over 2.0. I believe is 90 degrees, right? Can anyone? How to make shop in Godot game? Well, I gotta tell you, man, that's coming here and spamming it is probably not the way to do it. I would happy to be doing that for you if you didn't do it. For in shop, tutorial for shop in Godot, please. How to make shop in Godot. Yeah, I was just multiplying by -1, but the problem is that, will that rotate it? Well, that'll just go back and forth, right? Because I mean, I think this will work, but okay, dude, this is very not cool, Mr. Ghost. Let's do, how do I go here? And pin message, report, remove, user in timeout. There we go. All right, so I put him in a timeout. I will make a how to do that, but you need to, like, you got to not be rude about it. You know what I mean? So just calm your horses, and I will get in. I'll actually show you how to do something like that in a sec. Although I've never done it, but I don't think it's too hard. So we'll get into that. True. If you need to rotate, then -1 will flip both components. Well, but it's one of them 0, so it'll just, like, for instance, if it's x, if it's 1 0, it'll just go -1 0 1 0 -1 0. I think this will work. You know, we want to go here, and then get our sprite, put them in there. Let's see. So that worked, okay. And then what I would like to, whoa, what's happening? What the? What the? Why is that happening? Huh. That is super weird. Is it not? Why would that do that? No! Why is this happening? Why the hell is it not? Okay. Let's just do testing. Testing grounds, okay. Okay, now can I use that? That is really weird, is it not? Am I tripping? Like, why is that happening? I was just working normally. And it won't even let me place tiles now. Huh. Maybe I gotta quit the editor? I don't know. Let's do it real quick. Does everyone know why that's happening? Okay, so I think it's in testing grounds. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, so that was weird. So the idea here is that now I need to do this and see if this works. And it will kind of work, but let's see. Yeah, it's okay. That was enough to break it before, but clearly this isn't going to work perfectly. But anyway, the basic pathfinding is there. You can put the sprite basically anywhere in this, and it will find that. Like we could put this here, anywhere in this room, or not. Oh, I see. Well, this was better before. Wait, but so before doing that, it should try turning. Oh, but because it's down, it's turning this way. Okay. Times int rand underscore rand range -1 to 1. Okay. Wait, why would that happen? Why would that happen if it wasn't an issue before? At function on move timer timeout. Why would this? So if this isn't causing that, was like without that, why would this now cause it? Why would multiplying? So if I multiply times -1. Yeah. So why can't I? Why can't I do that? Why can't I say times rand range -1 to 1 I see why that, but why can't I say int? Why would, I don't understand why that breaks it. Like, for instance, if I do this and I say print this, oh, okay, that's because this has to be -2 maybe? Well, this should be 2. No. Yes. But this should allow us to get -1. Maybe not. 0, 1, 0, 1. Ah, okay, I see. And we can't do this, because then we can get 0. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, we'll say var flip equals 1, and we'll say if rand range 0 to 5, 0 to 5 is greater than 2.5, then flip equals -1. I'll just say this, rotated this times flip. All right, let's see with that. What you doing now? There you go. Okay. I mean, it's not fantastic, clearly, but I think this will work. It's going to break once you get there, so I don't want to let them get there. But then now we can just go ahead and change the target. Yeah, so this is basically foolproof. This should handle the large majority of things, and then this, you know, will then handle all others, like, you know, kind of edge cases. And yeah, that's funny. But so yeah, so that is good. Now we just need to make it that if our position equals the target position, then return 0 maybe. Okay, say if not target, and then elif global position equals target position, target dot global position. Then we'll say input vector equals 0. It's fine. Or I'm sorry, equals vector2 dot 0. Okay. There we go. And then, yeah. I mean, that took longer than I would have liked, and obviously there's much better algorithms, but you know, this will kind of work. And then now the game shouldn't break. Oh, that's so funny. So this actually isn't even happening. But instead what's happening is that the reason it was breaking before was because it was colliding here and it couldn't deal with the collision here. So now it just goes back and forth once it hits the target. So anyway, obviously, definitely not the best. I just kind of like the little coding challenge. Again, if anyone's got any questions, obviously, I think someone might have had, you know, some kind of question about making a shop in game, but I don't know. You know, yeah. I mean, obviously, that's not. I don't really want to reward that behavior, so now I kind of don't know. Okay, so yeah. Honestly, if whoever did this wants to check this out, I would probably not recommend going for that pathfinding. It's probably better to just go for the random movement like you said you wanted. The pathfinding is interesting. Of course, you can also do that if you are pointing directly at the enemy, that you can shoot at him, and that's not too hard to do either. And yeah, there's that. And I'm glad I did that, because then I'll probably actually get into pathfinding and either A-star or something. I'll probably look for whichever one I like the best and figure that out, because my idea is to eventually have a game where you'll kind of be in rooms somewhat like this. It'll be a grid-based thing, and then you might be able to move diagonally. We'll see. Actually, probably not. But so the idea is that it'll be a roguelike. You have 3 moves, right? Move 1 is usually a recharge, right? We'll say this. Move 1 is a dash. And in the dash, for instance, if this was the character, he could move, he could dash in any direction that's free, and he would dash from his position until he hits a wall, and then anything in his path would die. On position 2, he has to stay there and recharge, where all the zombies get to move towards him on that position, right? There's gonna be tons of zombies. Move number 3, I might make this 4 moves. Move number 3 and 4, or move number 3, you'll be able to move 2 points. So 1 and then 2, and then you get to choose 1 more dash after that. And then that cycle repeats. And so you kind of have to be smart about not letting the zombies get you. You have to be thinking about how you can move. Maybe I'll make you only be able to move 1 square per turn, but the zombies can move 2. So you have to be like, oh, like I can't dash this turn because of this. I don't know. I think it could be cool. It could also be a huge flop, but we'll see. Would you use rigid body or Area 2D to stimulate progressive attraction? A pool-like game with non-realistic behavior. Progressive attraction. What do you mean by that? Like some kind of a black hole type thing where it sucks stuff in? A pool-like game with realistic behavior. You're playing pool like billiards? Like that pool? While you're answering, I'm going to go ahead and look around for some other questions that I think would be a little easier to answer. Custom global game loops. I have multiple systems in a game that have for optimization purposes. That's going to be too hard. Game FPS. Oh wait, changing the speeds at which game mechanics work. Interesting. I have multiple variables that are interpolated. Nah, that's too much. If statement preventing signal. Interesting. We can solve this one right here. Oh, the balls would bounce on each other progressively until they stick. Definitely, I would definitely use the rigid bodies. Yeah. Well, it's actually, I mean, we could do something like that. That sounds kind of cool. Let's check that out. So I will make a new scene here, and then I'll add a rigid. I haven't messed with the rigid bodies in a long time, but we will do our darndest. Okay. So assuming, let's make another scene here. And I'll make another 2D scene, add a canvas layer. And to that, I'm going to add a color rect. And then I'm going to go ahead and let's duplicate this. And then I'll make both of these go full rect. Full rect. And then I think in Godot, this one's on bottom. Okay, it's the opposite of what I usually do. So usually this one will be on top. So I think this one's on top. So we want this one to be green. Kind of trying to go for like a pool color that looks nice. That could be a pool table. And then this one's going to be the border. So we'll set this to like kind of a nice black, almost leatherish type thing there. And then we'll take this one, the front one, and then bring it in just slightly. Does that work? It's weird, it doesn't want to snap to the grid, but there we go. Okay, so something like that. So there's our pool table. You could rigid body that and then manual apply gravity formula. I'm not sure if Area 2D can do multiple gravity fields. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I don't know if that's exactly what you're talking about, but you could do like, yeah, black holes. You shoot the balls and then kind of go towards them. Anyway, so I think what you're trying to talk about is, so we'll save this as a pool, or say billiard table. Go ahead and save this. QA sessions, QA session 2. Create new folder, and we'll say billiards. Okay, and then I'll save this. Other thing I want to do, let's close, so let's do GitHub desktop, is to then just O2, commit to main, push origin. Okay, so yeah, also everything I'm doing right here is available on GitHub. Let me actually go ahead and shoot that in the chat here, so that, and if anyone wants it, you can grab it there. I did try that, but that didn't work. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely do rigid bodies. And then, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add, here, we'll just do it this way, and then I'll make the scene in here. So we'll add a rigid body 2D. Okay, then we'll add a, okay, let's do billiard ball vector art. And then we can go to settings, color, transparent, and we can grab one. That'll do, I think, unless there's something better. Actually, I like that we've got a few options with these ones. Oh, does this have all of them? Let's go here. Ah, no. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll do this. Yes, we'll go save image as, and we'll save it in our, well, I'll just save them all right here. So we'll do new folder, balls. Okay, so we'll say 9. Okay, here. Oh, these are different. These are all different. Interesting. I am full. Okay, and then we'll do, but that's the same. Okay, cool. Save image as, same place. This will be 10B. We'll grab this one, save image as, and this will be 12P. Okay, I think 3 balls is probably enough. Most of us only have 2. Some of us has none. Everyone gets along just fine. Well, now, I mean, for years it was oppressive, but you know. Okay, so, oh yeah, now I want to go ahead and drop that file. Let's go here, actually open this up. Let's do this. Okay, I'll go to, where are you? What is wrong with me? Tutorial, no, testing. QA station 2, billiards, and then let's grab the balls. Drop them in there. Okay, so now we should have some balls. Okay, open up that. Oh, this one's not transparent. That's a bummer. Whatever, we'll just use these ones then. Okay, so to this, of course, we'll add a sprite. And then I'll add you right there. Now we've got that. Oh yeah, we want the canvas layer to be at -1, so that way everything can be on top of it. And then probably want to make this a wee bit smaller. Let's do like something like, ooh, like that. I guess we don't need the snap on anymore. So let me turn that off. That's probably about right. Transform, scale, we'll do 0.7 by 0.7. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. And then, so now we'll just make a copy of this, and we'll change the sprite to be this one. We all have some balls. Okay, oh yeah, and then this one also, now we need to make this like the same size. And I don't think this was the same size to start with. So I'll make that a little more interesting. Okay, transform, scale, 0.35, 0.35. Okay, we'll do this. Oh, that's weird. Oh, it's because we moved the sprite. Okay. In fact, what we should actually do is do this, and then we'll make this a scene. Again, into billiards. Save. Okay. And then go into the scene. We'll add a collision shape like this. Okay. And then I'll come in here like that. Okay, that looks good. Now, the first thing I want to do here is go into here and then take gravity scale, put this to 0. And so that should make it that now the ball won't do anything. It just stays there until acted upon by another force. Yep. And then I think you can literally just smack it, dude. Yeah, I think you literally can. So let's do this. Like, have you tried literally just line them up and hitting them together? No, the reason is because I downloaded these from the internet and they're not the same size. So that's why that happened. Okay, there we go. And then I'll click Editable Children and go into here, make this one that big, and then I should be able to reduce that substantially. Okay, then we'll go to transform, 0.35 by 0.35. I think it persists the scale, but with pics different, it will look different anyway. Yeah, the pics are different, the same size. But when I do it, what's it called? Editable children like that, it allows me to kind of change that like that. Okay, and then now I need to make a way to hit the balls. So we'll go ahead and add a. So there's one thing you can do with rigid bodies. So if you go here and we go to rigid bodies, I'll show you. It's called imply impulse. Okay, so we'll go down. So apply central impulse is almost certainly what we want. Okay, and that's what it's going to be. Applies a directional impulse without affecting rotation. That's not actually what we want. We want apply impulse. Impulse to the body. An impulse is time independent. Applying impulse is keyframe result in frame rate dependent force. Okay, cool. But I think we literally just apply this once and it'll handle it. So for just demonstration purposes, what I want to do is go into here, add a script, and then we'll say we want to add, we want to make sure that we're actually clicked. So I'll add a button. Let's add a tool button. This is definitely not how you want to do it, but it should work. It's definitely not how you want to do it. Yeah, but the good thing is now that we can do something like this. We can say we can say connect button pressed. So on button pressed, self dot apply central impulse, and this will be, we'll just say vector2 dot right, and then we need the magnitude, so we'll do like 1,000. Wait, yeah, I don't think I put in the right arguments there. Apply central vector2 dot right. Okay, let's run this. Okay, let's do this commenting. The issue, I was trying to create a different behavior when a ball hit another. If I want. That'd be cool if you're playing pool with planets. The attraction part is the issue. The issue is I was trying to create a different behavior when a ball hit another one. The two balls start bouncing on each other until they stop. Okay, so you want the ball, if I, let's see, I want to just quickly do, I want to see if this works. Oh, no, I know. The impulse contains, so this needs to be, for instance, 2, 500, 0. And I know this is not what you're doing, but now I want to see if I can get it to work. Because they don't bounce away from each other. And nothing is stopping that. So that's a problem. Interesting. They're starting to slow down. Because there's no gravity. I see. And then we would just want to do something like physics process delta. We'll say apply force. Maybe we could just do that actually in here. I think there's like a bounciness thing. Damp. Damp still has linear velocity. If -1, the body will use the default linear one. Interesting. I mean, that's obviously not what we want. Okay, sorry. Oh, you need to add a physics material? I was going to calculate all that myself. So I was going to say just, for instance, velocity. Well, it should be. Trying to get linear velocity, and then say linear velocity dot move towards vector 2 dot 0 by, we'll say like 10 maybe, whatever seems right. And then I want to go here and then get rid of, I don't have damping on anymore. Okay, well, fine. Huh, why would that happen? Super weird, isn't it? Oh, because I did this in here. That's why. Put the damping on, right? No, that's... Oh no, I put it in here. That's why. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Florian. If I were to attempt that, I think I'd put an area to detect balls nearby, then apply the gravity formula to every ball in the area. You'd have to tweak probably. There is no friction, physics, material. Yes, friction. Yeah, that. So if you add an area to D, I remember I ended up figuring this out, so maybe I can go into one of my old projects that's now broken because I updated to Godot 3.0, and we add a collision shape to this, and then, for instance, what time is it? Oh crap, I really got to take my dogs out, so this is going to be the last thing. And we go to collision shape, we add this. Let's say we make it like that. Let's put this ball in there, okay? Then you can go to area 2D, space override, replace gravity point on, gravity distance. Let's see. And we want to do collisions. It should be all good. Gravity distance scale. The fall off factor for gravity, the greater the value, the faster gravity decreases with. Wait, is it the greater the value, right? Okay. Gravity vector. Oh, I think I didn't end up using that because this increases. We want it to like kind of pull into the center is what we want, right? So then we would just like apply. Essentially what we do is like detect if it's in there and then apply force towards the center is what I would do actually. So, because there's no way to do that. So what we do is we'd say connect a script here, area 2D. And then we'd get this, body entered, okay, and then we'd say, oh, that's the wrong script. Okay, so we'd say if a body enters this, then we'd say body dot applied, I think it's applied force. Add force, add a positioned force to the body, both the force and the offset from the body. Okay, add central force, adds a constant directional force without affecting rotation. So I guess we'd actually need the script here, and we need this to be, applied force. Why is it not liking this? Isn't declared in the current class. Oh, we just do add force. Add force, and then offset. Oh, no, we want to add central force. Add central force. What's the force? Okay, yeah, this is actually simpler. So then we'd say, so we make a variable called var target, okay, and we'd say if target, then add central force, target underscore, say target dot global underscore position dot direction underscore 2. No, we need this dot direction 2 target dot global underscore position times 10 maybe. Let's see what that does. And it's going to do this every frame, so. And then I want to do body dot target equals self. Okay, and I'll say print body. Oh, that is going the wrong way. That's weird. Oh, wait. No, yeah, that should, that's weird. Okay, we'll do that then. Interesting. What if we just did this? Because that should have started pulling it back. Anyway. Okay, let's see. Yeah. You can't use body entered as it only happens once. You would need to do it. Yeah, that's why I'm giving it. So essentially I'm making that happen. So I'm giving it the target. Then basically if it's given a target, then we start adding the central force towards it. Yo, what's up, Furroy? Well, I have a question. Do you have any good tips for structuring a Godot project? My project is turning into a log script of if statements that is getting unwieldy. How do I get modularity, composability, and separation of concerns from each script or something? Yeah, so, I mean, in terms of just a script, in terms of a project, what I typically do, this is obviously a mess. So sorry, Ennis, I wasn't able to help you. I'm sure I could have if I fiddled around with that a little longer. So I'll go ahead and commit this up to the main here. Push origin. I'll go ahead and quit out of that. Okay, and then what I want to show you then is just basically how I structure the basics of a lot of my projects. And then I think that's going to be it for today. So I'll use a game like Black Body's a mess. Mecha's done very well, but currently Godot 3.3 broke it. So we'll get some errors here. Close. Well, as you can see, oh, this was supposed to be a file to delete. So I'll delete that. So I have the basic, so I have some fonts, functional scripts, my images. So these are all the actual image files that are going to be in the game. And here I have those all edited. Then I have scenes, which I further divide into like characters, functional scenes, singletons, stuff like that. I have a sounds folder that just like images stores sounds, and then add-ons, of course, does add-ons, test. We can go ahead and delete that. Actually, I don't know if we can, but it's gone now, so hopefully that could. Globals.gd should actually be in functional scripts, but most of these are like, yeah, these are mainly scripts that are for just doing a certain function. Yeah, and then so now to go into an actual script, I want to go into one that's kind of complicated. I feel like I actually did this really well with Perry the Dreamcatcher, even though I hate that game. So if we go to Perry right here, and then we can actually go to Perry. Oh, and Ennis, you were watching that other stream. The problem is actually Godot 3.3 is breaking the game, which is crazy. So I might downgrade to 3.2. And then, because I don't know if 3.3 is worth having to deal with all my games being broken. So this one will not, it can run in the editor, but it won't export correctly to HTML5, which is a problem. But anyway, so if we go in here, you see this is kind of a mess. It's relatively, I try to keep things organized by their type here. Like typically I usually will put something like this right up there, and I'll keep these organized, kind of color coding honestly. But I actually kind of like this because then it separates these things together. Anywhozer, so in this script, we'll go ahead, and I usually keep everything closed, but I guess it opened them all up here. But you can see the basic way that I do it is that I use these hashtags. This should be there. Okay, and I also follow the Godot style guide on top of that, though this is not in the Godot style guide, so this is a huge script, obviously. You're supposed to actually separate all of these by 2, technically. Okay, there we go. So you can see that here's the whole script. close this enum and that. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Yeah, so it's bugged with mine for some reason, like the ready. Well, so for one thing, all of my projects, like unimported some files, and it won't import them again unless I delete the file and re-add it to the directory. That's the only way I could figure out, which is a pain because randomly some things just won't work and it broke a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to like sit tight. I'm glad you said that, Runjin, because I thought it was only me. But I've had a lot of issues. It's kind of scaring me because I like the new features they've added, but to me they're not worth it to deal with fixing all the issues. But anyway, to answer Jesse Miller's question, this is like how I would organize a script. So for one thing, the Godot style guide, I'm actually thinking about making a video on the Godot style guide for exactly this reason. Obviously, you do extends, class name, up here at the top. Class name is optional, of course. Then you do all your declarations. Then you do your functions. Now, before comes your custom functions, you should have functions like ready, physics process, all the virtual functions. And then typically, there should not be a space there. The way I do it is I put the functions that are going, or the variables, I try to organize them by type. So here we've got my bools, then I've got vectors, and also the whatever you'd call these. So like constants, I always put those first. Then on ready variables, then regular variables. You should probably put unready variables down here, but the reason I don't is because I want to put the things that I'm actually going to be changing the most in my code the closest down. That's just how I think about it. So constants up at the very top because they don't change. On ready vars because I almost entirely use them to get properties that I'm not going to actually change. I'm just going to affect them, right? Close that up right there. And then regular variables, again, I try to group them by type so it looks nice and pretty. Then we come down to signals, enums, and then typically export variables, I'll put these actually next to constants, but I put this export variable right here because it goes hand in hand with this enum. Okay, and then you want to put two lines between each function starting here. I've actually thought about doing 3 for just right here and then 2 in between each function. And then I guess what you can see what I've done here, it's a little bit against the grain. So I've got a ready function and a physics process function. And then in the physics process function, I've got a state machine with all the different states, and you can see all the stuff there. This is still pretty clean too, right? I've got maybe 1 or 2 bools. I try to stay away from even doing this, but you can see in those, I just have, everything they do in the states is grouped into functions then that are right here. And then everything within that. So like for instance, movement functions, and then this is everything to do with movement, attack functions, everything to do with attacking, animations, and so on. And yeah, so I think it's really nice. And then again, what I try to do is make the most used functions up here near the top. And if I'm doing something where I don't have so many things that I have to group them, I do ready, physics process, signal functions, and then I do my custom functions. So yeah. And if I'm doing stuff that, you can think of it like ready, physics process, then like movement would go here, and then signals, and then custom functions. And custom function would be like a function that says like calculate a random value, right? So that really doesn't actually do that. So those are the 2 ways I organize scripts, and I think this is probably a really nice one to look at if you're interested in that. That was a great question, thank you. So yeah, that's also available on my GitHub, which is, I put a link in here, but it's also if you go into my YouTube channel, you can then get over here to my GitHub, and that is Perry the Dreamcatcher right here. And yeah, you can go ahead and check it out. Though it is now a wee bit broken, you can still go check out how I organize those scripts. I think that'd be helpful. And then in my Intro to GDScript course, the non-coders guide for GDScript course, I also talk about how I would structure a project kind of like this a little bit, where I basically always make the name of the game, so it'd be like Galaga, and then in that I have exports or builds, right? And then you have like affinity files, or, you know, for instance, like this is where you'd keep like your files that you definitely don't want with the game for art, and you can have that with several. So like, for instance, Photoshop exports .psd files, and I use Affinity Designer exports .afd files. I don't want those in my game, so I put art files that are specifically not going to be with the game. So exports, art files, then I do project files, and that's where I create the actual game right there. And that's how I do that. I think, well here, I mean, let's check it out. What, if I go to Godot code, let's look at one. I mean, we can look right there, hex code jam. Yeah, 50 files, exports, itch. So this will be like itch promote stuff. So I've got like GIFs, GIFs, whatever you call it. Oh yeah, and then sound effects. So these are the, on a README because it's the GitHub. I've got, this is like all my actual editing for music and songs and stuff using my program, the exact same deal as the image files. And that's like how I do a project. And then here you can see, so here I call it Perry. I usually call it project files, and then you can go into there. And this is where I make the file from the Godot project thing. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has really been a joy. And you know, I'm pretty beat. I want to take my dogs out, get something to eat. Haven't eaten today. And yeah, so just all around great stream. Reminder that everything we talked about today is on GitHub, even though it wasn't the most productive day, but I got a few things done that people had questions about. So I am happy about that. A reminder again that the whole point of this was to talk about the awesome game jam that I am co-hosting with a bunch of fantastic other people called the Go Godot Game Jam. And that's right here. It's on itch. I'll go ahead and actually throw this back into the chat. And then I think I will leave you. Again, I have a Discord, so I'm actually gonna throw that in the chat too. If you wanna ask me questions that, you know, if you've got them in your, where is it? In your free time, you wanna ask a question, come on, there we go. So, oh, I think I just last time, we need to go to like specially, go here, and then do invite people. Copy. Paste. And, you know, lots of really nice people in here that are just, you know, really great community of people. So you can talk amongst them. Most of them are pretty knowledgeable. And I also have a questions tab that no one has used yet. But the idea is that I or anyone else can then come and answer your question. So that will be specifically geared for that. And then sometimes if I think your question's great, or at least being something that is very teachable, a teachable moment, then I'll put it on one of these streams and go over it, which I would love. So please do that. And yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll leave you with the trailer, and then, yeah. Peace.